Good morning, Raptor Freaks. It is Monday, so we're doing a Monday memory, a Monday moment, I guess, this morning. And the Monday moment is Fred VanVleet leaves Toronto. And I thought that tweet from Champagne Pappy was a great cover photo for today's stream because it's kind of funny what he said. Good luck on the Guangdong Dragons. And then Fred replies, relax. Drake, you are a true Raptors super fan and our global ambassador. I love you, man, for that. What a great comment for Fred on his farewell speech yesterday. He dropped his farewell speech yesterday. And, it was perfect. It was adequate in a lot of ways. He didn't. Now, there's something weird about it that kind of bugs me is that he didn't actually mention the word Toronto or Raptors in it. And I think that that's like a PR move on purpose. There's all kinds of weird shit they can do. I know he's talking about us, but he does never ever specifically mention the word Toronto or the Raptors in that statement. And to me, that's a little fishy in some ways for, ways that they can use that statement later for other teams instead of us and stuff like that. I know that may be silly to worry about, but that's something I noticed about it. And then obviously, the most thing that everybody's noticing today, and people that are just not in the the mix of what's happening in Raptors culture and things that happen around the Raptors, are shocked and dismayed to hear that he feels like he's the most hated Raptor leaving our team. And I hate that. I hate that myself. That I'm going to read his statement exactly. Monique's posted it. She's saying Fred knows what you say about him online. Laugh out loud. We move. And yeah, it's true. It is true. Now, Fred, basically what he said is, hang on, let me get the Fred VanVleet statement right up. I don't know why I'm not prepared. All right, Fred VanVleet basically said. Hang on. Where is the actual statement? Words can't do justice to how thankful I am to the city. You should say Toronto. That watched me grow from a young kid praying for a chance in to an NBA champion, all-star, and a father of three. I'm forever indebted to the franchise, to the Raptors. You should say the Raptors there. You should say, I'm thankful to Toronto that watched me grow. And then you should be saying forever indebted to the Raptors, because you don't put words in those proper nouns in those words. It's ambiguous, and you could use this statement when you leave Houston, but not the champion part, obviously. Probably not. Indebted to the Raptors that gave me a shot when no one else would. That's the damn truth. We built things together that can never be broken. I would say that's very true. I feel like that's very true. Although, your coach kind of hurt some things with that. And your friend Norman sullying that accomplishment and accomplish things that will stand forever. This is true also. They will stand forever. And hopefully we get another one. And we get more after that. And, yours will be just the first one, Fred. I went from the fans not knowing who I was to fan favorite to most hated. And I'm thankful for every second of it. Why does that piss me off so much? Why do I have to put the Angry Beaver shirt on? Why do I have to hear Fred say that he feels like he's the most hated Raptor? Some people have been upset about him saying that because they say it's his ego talking, saying that, oh, you think you're the most hated Raptor? No, man. Why? You think you're that important? You can't win with these fucking people, these idiots that hate him so much. I get it. But in some ways, forgive him for feeling like the most hated Raptor right now. This past season, he definitely was. And it was bullshit. And, the problem is that social media is evolving and it's getting worse. People like Zuckerberg and Elon being in charge are not good because they've made it even more of a cesspool of misinformation, just off-color, bad, racist opinions, all kinds of crazy, stupid shit all over social media at this point. Facebook is going down the hill right now. All it is suggested things, and they're suggesting things because they're trying to shape your mind. That's all those suggested videos that you see in your feed that you don't follow. That's them trying to shape you with bullshit. And then Instagram, completely broken. You see the same damn pictures at the top of your feed every single time. There's no real usage of Instagram at this point. It's just post your holiday pictures and your food pictures, but you'll probably see the same damn 5-1s every single day. And then Twitter. Yeah, Twitter. Twitter has become a right-wing echo chamber for fucking Elon's own agendas. And it's become just a troll fest. You know, the anonymity of social media is directly related to what Fred's talking about. These people think they're so big and bad they can talk through their keyboards. We don't know you are. You could be just some little fucking 8-year-old dumbass kid in fucking Pickering, for all I fucking know. You know, that's the thing. This anonymity, people all big and bad can talk so big and bad behind a keyboard. You wouldn't say that shit to Fred's face in person. No, you wouldn't. Even if he's under 6 foot, you would still not say it to him. Even if you were 6'7", you wouldn't say that shit to his face. You know you wouldn't. So you get the courage because you're behind a keyboard in anonymity. You can say all this stupid out-of-pocket bullshit every fucking which way. Do y'all not realize? Like, you guys don't care, obviously. But Fred was touched by social criticism from online boards when he was a little child. He was like 12 years old or something like that. And he went online and he saw some 40-year-old man like me online talking about how Fred will never make it. He should just quit trying, said all this stuff. So he's very sensitive to online comments. They drive him. In fact, he likes to go read them because they drive him. So he gets in there and he's going to read all this bullshit that all you idiots posted all year. And now he's coming out of the team saying he feels like he's the most hated. That is such fucking horrible. Like, what the fuck, y'all? He's a legend. He's one of the most inspiring stories in the history of the NBA. And our fan nation has a small, fucking, really toxic, loud part of it that has made him feel like he's the most hated. So disappointed in Raptors Nation that this is how we're getting labeled for this from our guy that should be in love with us and we should have the same kind of shit going on. No, it's not like that. He thinks he's the most hated. That's messed up, y'all. If y'all don't understand how messed up that is. Now, clueless fans are coming in. Why does he say he feels like the most hated? I have no idea what's going on. Well, you thank God your ignorance is bliss. You must live a charmed life that you don't know all the stupid ass crazy social media campaigns against him this whole season. You didn't hear any of the stuff people talking. The young people, they're stupid and fucking love Scotty so much that they fucking hate Fred just because he's an older person telling Scotty how to live his life. You know, that's part of the problem. The young people champion Scotty and they think, oh, Scotty this, Scotty that. Scotty can do no wrong. He's fucking 21. He doesn't know jack shit yet. And y'all fucking get mad because Fred and Thaddeus want to teach him how to play in the NBA? What's wrong with y'all, youngsters? I get it. You don't trust old people because we fucked up the earth and you're pissed at us. Well, you do need to listen to us to a degree to help with things as far as knowledge and teaching and passing down the way to do things. You know, that's all Fred and Thad wanted to do for Scott and do it in a positive, good way. And Scott wanted them to do that. Y'all were the fucking idiots that said, hey, he shouldn't be telling him how to live his life. He knows what he's doing. No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. Trust me. I watched him on Twitch last year, and he's a young man physically, but in a lot of ways, this guy's got to grow up in different ways, and he'll mature and become a more mature adult man. And, you know, people like Thaddeus and Fred could have helped him with that kind of stuff more and more. So it's just messed up. It's a whole horrible, bad situation. I hate you, toxic Raptor Nation. You fucking pieces of shit with your hide behind keyboards, and you can say all kinds of tough, out-of-pocket shit when you don't think anybody come find you. That's the thing. If we knew who you were and stuff like that, if you said that shit to people's face, you get decked. You get put on the ground. We got too many people that think they're so big and tough because they talk shit online. Well, you couldn't fucking back that shit up in real life. I know you couldn't. You wouldn't say half the shit that you do if you had to face the real world repercussions of saying those kind of things to people. And that's the most messed up thing. It's a Wild West. Seriously, we live in a Wild West. Just like there was a Wild West out west in the American country, there's a Wild West going on the frontier of the fucking social media world. it's more hyped up and swarming and stuff like that. I advise every single athlete in sports and your families to get off there. Get off there. Don't even try and put that name of the person you care about in your Google search. Don't even try and go see what people are saying. If you fall in the trap of wanting to hear the good stuff, don't do that. Seriously, it'll pump up your ego, and it's really not good either. If you get out there because you want to hear the bad stuff, well, you're just causing yourself pain. None of these people matter. None of them, Fred. Everybody who said bad things about you this year, none of them fucking matter. They're idiots. And they're people that should not be listened to or given attention. And the fact that you were aware and hearing and looking at all that stuff, that makes it sad to me. And I understand why. It's because you want to see what's going on. You're a sensitive guy. You want to check the water, see how people are feeling about things. Well, don't do that. If anything, have somebody around you that does it, but maybe they don't tell you about what people are saying. But if you really want to ask them, they can tell you. But you should not be looking at that stuff yourself. And people that really, really love you, like your mom, your brother, your wife, they shouldn't be looking at it either, especially your kids. Nobody that really, really loves you, really, really, really strongly should be looking at it. You should be getting like your agency to look at this shit. You should be getting people like Erica Ruiz to read all of your shit, and she can give you a condensed version summary where you don't even have to go in there and look at all of it. In fact, what's the point? What's the point? These people do not matter. These people do not matter in any kind of way. You know, I'm looking online last night on Twitter, and I see Raptors fans fighting with Shanika Young last night because her husband's getting paid $8 million to stay on the Raptors this season. And I'm just like, why? Why are you doing this, Shanika? Don't even engage with these people. I get it. You're out there. You love your husband very much and you want to defend his honor. But these people are stupid. Don't you understand? These people have nothing to offer anybody except for misery, toxic negativity, and bullshit. And that's why I put it on every single athlete out there. I don't care if it's NBA, NHL, NFL, MLB, soccer, whatever around the world. Y'all just stop fucking reading your shit online. Chris said it on Hustle Play podcast. He said, don't go on there to feel good, to go on there and get all your kudos and feel good and get high off of good things people are saying about you. And definitely don't go on there to look and see what they're saying about you negatively. Just don't even fucking do it. Just don't even do it. It's not worth it. And it's only getting worse. And seriously, y'all can cause mental health problems for yourselves by getting too tied up on Joe Blow, anonymous stranger, troll motherfucker who's fucking sitting in a fucking basement in Brampton talking stupid ass shit on his keyboard. Seriously. It's not worth it anymore. The internet is dead for any kind of that kind of bullshit. Just fucking stay away from it. It's not fun anymore. The internet has turned into something that's just fucking fucked up hellscape of fucking idiots and trolls. So, man, I hate seeing Fred describe himself as the most hated. I really do. I hate that so much. He does not deserve that, and it really pisses me off in a lot of ways. It really, really does. I'll finish what Rusty said. I'm thankful for every second of it, to the city, franchise, and country, to Toronto, the Raptors, and Canada that watched me grow every step of the way. Thank you. Why can't you put the proper nouns in there, Fred? Seriously. Why not put the proper nouns in there? That kind of bugs me in some ways. That really does. Because you put the fucking name in your statement. The Toronto Raptors and Canada. Please. I mean, you did better than Nick. You were timely with it. Still a little generic in some ways. You know, Lowry did way better than you. Let's just put it that way. Lowry's statement on his way out, way better than yours, Fred, if I'm going to compare it. Seriously. Lowry's was amazing. Seriously. I'm not going to lie. Dana's here. Good morning. Dana is first in the house. Canadian Dana in the house. I am Canadian. Good morning, everyone. Sixers fans are starting to realize what Nick Nurse is. I don't know the story that has spawned this statement by Dana. I'm going to guess this. They're realizing the fact that Dame Lillard doesn't want to come to Sixers may be having something to do with Nick Nurse. Yeah. They're realizing James Harden not wanting to stay in Philadelphia may have something to do with Nick Nurse. Maybe that's part of it right there. I hope that's maybe what you're alluding to, Dana, but I'm not totally sure. But it's true. There are certain players that don't want to have anything to do with Nick Nurse for certain reasons. And that's very, very interesting to me. in some ways. He has a reputation now in some ways around the league. If it's overworking guys like on the court and overplaying your starters, sure. But there's something else. I think that something happened last year with the Raptors, and it's well known among the NBA and NBA players, but not among the public because it's locker room stuff. But people know in the know around the league. And not only are the Raptors tuned him out and not listening to him at the end of the season, but he may rub other people around the NBA the wrong way with what he did this year, whatever he did to piss off the Raptors players. And it could very well be there's an extension of people that are not happy with Nick Nurse beyond last year's Raptors roster. Seriously, Dame Lillard straight up said, I won't play for Sixers. They're not in the Dame Lillard sweepstakes that's going on right now. And apparently we have a better chance of landing Damian Lillard than the Philadelphia 76ers right now. That is intriguing to me right there. And listen, I said this at the beginning of summer when Nick Nurse got fired. Well, this feels like the summer of 2018. You fired KC, and then you trade DeMar DeRozan for Kawhi Leonard. I still see that other shoe dropping somehow, some way. Now, Fred leaving is kind of like DeMar already leaving, and it feels like that right now. The void, that feeling of some big part of your team leaving like that, I'm feeling it right now with Fred. But there's no coming into that void right now in a big way like Kawhi did for DeMar. But could the Raptors do a really big trade still? Well, maybe. I don't want to say who or what. There are different deals out there I've seen this morning. I don't even want to talk about them because I don't want to bring them up. But if something happens and it's on the scale of like a DeMar for a Kawhi move, this could really shift things real quick. And, a lot of different things happening with the Raptors fan nation as far as like how they feel about what's going on with the team. So we'll have to see. Trevor's saying, good morning, Raptors family. Give thanks and praises to the God of the universe. Thank him. You live to see another day. Wow. Trevor J. Really, seriously, let's touch base on our humanity and our fragility as human living organisms on this planet. We're not all invincible. We're not indestructible. We all have bodies that get older and, break down over time. And, every single day when we wake up and breathe another day, we should be very grateful. Thank you, Trevor, for a reality check. And I think you're right. It's hard when you're younger and you feel indestructible that you don't really fully understand what he's talking about, that we all are vulnerable as living organisms, just as a butterfly, a frog, a bear, a tree, a bush. And the more we understand life on this planet and how fragile it is in different places, we'll realize how fragile we are ourselves. And, we need to get with it because we're hurting ourselves. I saw a very interesting YouTube clip by a channel talking about how, the certain degrees of climate change that happen. If we go a couple of degrees up, we could have a catastrophic event where millions of people die because it's too hot. Now, air conditioning can help you and save you, but if the heat goes too high up, and people will not survive it, and it's not that much hotter than what we're getting to this summer already. So we really do need to act fast and start planting more trees, stop putting so much carbon in the air, and start trying to control the global temperature of our planet because it is rising. And just a few more degrees could actually eradicate a huge amount of the population of humans on this earth. And that's just the damn truth. And people don't realize how the balance of life and how fragile that is and how we're on our way towards it. And we need to start rectifying it and changing the course. We don't, seriously, a lot of people across this whole entire planet are going to die. They really are. Let's see. Trevor's saying rumors on Instagram that Scotty followed Fred. All right, listen, I'm sick of this whole keeping track of who's following each other and who's not. Who cares? At this point, I don't care. Somebody was talking about yesterday, well, nobody's congratulating Fred or doing anything with him as far as his farewell post yesterday. That's bullshit. That is absolute bullshit. There were Raptors that liked his post and were very nice to him. Chris Boucher, for sure. They reposted each other's. Chris posted Fred's farewell letter, and then Fred reposted Chris putting his farewell letter up. Coloco all over Fred's farewell stuff. You know, the narratives that people want to paint, especially the Scotty versus Freddie people, you're just reaching in some ways. When you really want to go and check who's following who and all this kind of bullshit, just get a life, please. I'm the Raptor freak. I go real in depth on Raptors coverage and looking for stuff. But worrying about who follows who and keeping track of all that, you need to get a life. Seriously. That is too in depth and too crazy to me. Seriously, why does it matter? Who cares? You know, I might unfollow Fred today just because I don't want to see all the Houston shit coming down the road. I've already unfollowed Nick. So why wouldn't people that aren't directly involved and, you know, that kind of stuff, you know, let's go along with his narrative that Scotty and Freddie don't get along. Well, Scotty's best friend is Jalen Green. Well, Fred's going to play with Scotty's best friend. Let's see if they get along. Let's see if they get along. That could be a sign. That's a better sign than unfollowing and following on Instagram. Let's see if Jalen Green and Fred VanVleet have any beefs, or they have a harder time getting along, because in some ways, Jalen Green's personality is the closest to Scotty's because they're birds of a feather. They're very close friends. And they, you know, in some ways, let's see. Does Jalen get along with Fred? We'll have to see this year in Houston. So, yeah, I don't know. Trevor, the whole following and unfollowing thing, whatever. It's like, what's the point? People follow and unfollow people for all kinds of different reasons these days. It could be completely weird reason. Who knows why it is? You know, Scotty may be sad that Fred left and it's too hard for him to see his shit now. And it's not because he's mad at him or hates him. You know, that's what happens sometimes. To get closure and to move on, you got to stop following people sometimes. And I know I'm going to do that with Fred very soon. I haven't done it yet, but I'm very close to. It could be later today. Now with Nick, I did it almost right away. I was like, I don't care, you know, any bullshit. And I would check for his letter without following him at that point. So Trevor's saying some fans want us to trade half of our team for Portland superstar Dame Lillard, who never won nothing, to bring him to Toronto for what? You know, I've seen a couple of the things that they want in Portland. I think that it's too steep. I think that the Trailblazers fans need to understand, if you want to trade Dame Lillard to us, you may get one of our really good players and maybe a secondary guy. But stop thinking you could get three guys, and stop thinking that you're going to get picks also. I think that if you get one of our primary guys or stud guys and you get a secondary guy as the rest of the salary filler to match Damian Lillard's contract, then you should be happy. And, you know, one of them I'm seeing this morning has Coloco involved in going to Portland. I don't like that necessarily. I really, really don't. So once again, I trust Masai and Bobby. Whatever gets put in front of them, they will work with it and they will make sure the deal is right, like a Kawhi for DeMar deal. And otherwise, I don't want to speculate about who's going or what. I don't necessarily want to trade. I understand that if they do, it may make sense, and that it might be the right move to do right now, considering, you know, how they feel about the team. But I'm not advocating for a trade. I'm okay with running it back with what we got right now. But if they do it, well, that's their educated, in the know kind of opinion, and I'll stand by it. But I'm not going to say what I want or who should go or any of that. I'm just going to let it happen, because I'm not talking about guys getting traded right now. If it happens, then I'll react to it. That's all I'm saying right there about that. Trevor's saying he never won in Portland. You have Anthony. He had CJ. They had to put so many pieces around him, and he still didn't win anything. He wants a trade. Well, you know, Dame's built up a loyalty with Portland over the years. He really stayed loyal, and other times, and this is kind of around the last chance. And he knows it's not going to happen in Portland now. They've drafted Scoot, and they're still kind of leaning towards Shaedon Sharpe and Scoot, kind of young youth movement. And Dame's not a part of that. He really isn't. Miami is the best team for him to go to. But in some ways, Portland's trying to get so much from Miami, and Miami's being stingy, that they're at an impasse. That, you know, Portland wants particular things from Miami, and they're being very, like, demanding. And Miami's not hearing it. Pat Riley's being stingy. And that may not work out. The actual real ideal landing place for Lillard is Miami, and that's what he wants. but it may not work that way. And I'm also hearing that it's gotten so bad with what's happening with Lillard in Portland is that they don't necessarily want to fulfill his wishes at this point. They don't care if he wants to go to Miami. They're going to do whatever the fuck they want, apparently, is what they're saying. And they're going to trade him to whoever they feel like will give them the best assets coming back. And if they don't feel like it's Miami, it won't be Miami he goes to. So that's why there is a chance he could get traded to Toronto, is because the Miami thing's not lining up. Even if Dame wants that place, it's not lining up. And Portland's looking for the best deal for him, for sure. So we'll have to see. I mean, I think that it could be very intriguing. Lillard in a Toronto jersey. He's a very good player, Trevor. We can't sully him just because he hasn't won a championship. This guy is clutch to the clutches of clutch. And he is the kind of scorer, kind of guy that we haven't had in a long time. And I'd be okay with Damian Lillard playing for the Raptors. Now, the price and what's coming from us to them, I'd have to see that to see if I like the deal or not. But I give him a big check mark, and he could be a needle pusher for us if we make the right deal and we don't lose too much in trying to get him. So in some ways, I do approve of a Dame Lillard trade, but we got to see what the cost is. Dana's saying, I don't necessarily want Dame here. I want to see our team as it is coming together nicely, play under Darko. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it's really the astuteness of Bobby and Masai that will decide whether this is the right move at that time. And once again, they could say, oh, this is a good deal and take it, but it's not really a good deal. They're really, really sharp on this kind of stuff. And Portland may be trying to pull a fast one or doing something weird. And Bobby and Masai are like, no, we're not going to do that. No, that's way too much. You guys are crazy if you think we're going to send all that for Lillard. They got to be a bit stingy. And I love that Masai and Bobby have shown that they're difficult to deal with right now. Some people say that's a bad thing, but it's not. That means that they're really working towards absolute perfect kind of deals for Toronto, not necessarily for other teams. That Kawhi deal was so great and amazing for us because San Antonio was in a bad place and they had to move him because of the situation there. So we took an opportunity of that and how that worked out. And then we got a championship. Well, in a lot of ways, Portland's situation with Lillard is the exact same position in some ways that Spurs were with Leonard at that time. So maybe we can capitalize on this. Will they get more desperate, or will they hold on to him and make it an acrimonious, like you're still on the team, but you're sitting out kind of thing for the year? Could be. That's always possible. And that could happen with Harden in Philadelphia right now. Same exact thing. People are saying, well, James doesn't want to go certain places. He's being difficult. Nobody's actually that interested in James in general around the league. That Philadelphia may have a hard time moving him. And if he doesn't want to play for Nick, well, he may get fat real quick. He may be getting those wing orders at the Houston strip club or whatever city he's in and balloon up real quick. We've seen fat James Harden appear all of a sudden. And don't be surprised if all of a sudden James Harden's out of shape for this season coming up because he's not happy being still a Sixer going into the season. So yeah, there's some teams that are in bad places in some ways that may need help getting out of those bad places. That's where advantages and opportunities can be found when teams are desperate. And, Philly and Portland may be very desperate as the season gets closer with these two superstars. So we'll have to see what happens. I don't necessarily want to get Dame either. I'm very interested to see what Darko will do with our existing roster and how different we can be next year. So I'm with you, Dana. I'm with you on both sides. I say if something happens, well, I trust that they made the right decision. If nothing does, well, let's run it back. Let's go. Trevor's saying because the new guy is taking his spot, he's not going to give us a championship here in Toronto. Let's see. And Dana's saying, I agree. I don't know if that's true, though, Trevor. Seriously, don't put it past Bobby and Masai to figure out the right combination of keeping the right people around Lillard where it fits. And we do something really crazy. Like where we have I wouldn't put it past this. You think that this may not be a big difference, but it really could be. We've got to understand Lillard's the ultimate professional. He really takes things seriously. He really, really wants to win. And that kind of drive and wanting to win is very, very strong in him. Look at what he did at the All-Star game this year. He was kind of dominating things and he was hitting really long shots and he was toying with everyone. And he won that MVP. He very much was like just messed around, but also at the same time, like very serious in the All-Star game when nobody else was being serious. Let's see. Trevor saying when Toronto Raptors front office made that trade for San Antonio superstar, he already had a ring. This guy's nothing to show to come here. Well, that's not really his fault. Seriously, Trevor. You know, Kawhi went into a very storied franchise that had a history of winning and a dynasty, and he was the part of a fifth championship of the San Antonio franchise. On the other hand, Portland is a franchise that's been mired in a very difficult Western Conference as a second banana kind of team. They had their most success around 89 and 90, 91 when they made the finals 2 years in a row against the Pistons and the Bulls. And, that's really the height of where they've gotten, other than their championship way, way back in the 70s with Bill Walton. Now, the part of the problem is that Portland is in a division with the Lakers, and the Lakers, in a lot of ways, over the years, gets all the attention. And Portland's kind of like this team that's in their division that they kind of get beat up by the Lakers. The Warriors have been a real power in years recently. These are their divisional rivals historically. They're not anymore because they're actually in different divisions at this point. But those Western teams have held down the Portland Trailblazers in a lot of ways, similar to like Denver, and Denver rose up and got something. I don't know. It's hard to say this. Is it more indicative of bad management by Portland Trailblazers or an indictment of Damian Lillard as a player? I don't think it's fair to saddle him with this, Trevor. I don't think it is. Nameless is saying, I'm going to send a few fat friends with greasy hair and see-through socks to find him. Okay, let's see. The other nameless guy is trying to dismantle our team by suggesting we trade our champions around the league for non-champions in return. Yeah, I'm sick of this. Damage control. We are on damage control right now. Our franchise is reeling from two major losses this offseason, and it sucks. I hate this right now, and it is what it is. Well, they're really, when the going gets tough, they're coming at us even more, and they're doubling down on this. So fuck all this. Do not be a part of the negative noise if you're a true Raptors fan. Don't get involved in this kind of stuff. Even if you feel like being critical of the team right now and you're unsure about things, let's just give them the benefit of the doubt and just hold our tongues right now. There's so many people that are willing to prognosticate about the Raptors season right now, and they don't even know who Darko Rajakovic is. They don't have educated opinions, and I'm sick of it. Don't steer us towards failure just because you think we're going to fail. You have no idea what's going to happen. And I'm sick of hearing out of pocket, just general opinions from people around Raptor spaces and social media right now. They're so pessimistic and just messed up. There's no reason to be like that. You got to give people a chance, and we got to actually see something. If you get pessimistic by December, okay. But now's not the time to be so negative and tainting how you think our direction is going. You can look at it on paper and think this or that, but you have no fucking idea what's going to happen. You don't know what's going to happen with individual players. You don't know what could happen with the trade. You don't know what could happen with injuries, knock on wood, none of them, but for other people, stuff like that. There's all kinds of X factors. And everybody who thinks they're Nostradamus and they know exactly what the Raptors are going to do this season, you do not. You do not. I mean, I don't know. I can't say for sure they're going to be good, but I can't say for sure they're going to be bad. Nobody knows right now. We're all an epitome of a 500 team from last year. Well, we got a new coach and we get new players coming in. We have no idea what this team's going to do or how they're going to perform. So hold your opinions until we get more evidence. Because in some ways, you guys taint it negatively when you are so pessimistic and so down and negative about the situation with our team right now. It's not worth it. There's no point to it right now. You're just adding to the toxic negative noise in general and what you're doing when you do that. Let's see. Nameless is saying, I'm going to send a few fat friends with greasy hair and see-through socks to find them. I love that. Seriously, go find them. Seriously, go knock on the door and say hi. If we had a list of every single horrible troll in Raptors Nation, the most toxic, worst pieces of shit, the ones that are like fake fans that are actually fans of other teams that are in here, and we knew their real names and their addresses, yeah, I'd like to either call them or come by and say hi, hello, hi, you've been saying a lot of things, and not, just show them that, listen, we know you are. I think if these people had their anonymity taken away from them and people could actually know where they were and who they are, they wouldn't be writing checks like they do with their bullshit. If you can't cash those checks in real life, maybe you shouldn't be fucking writing shit like that online. Seriously. Because it used to be back in the day, this kind of stuff happened. People got knocked out because you do it to their face. Now you can do it behind their back and do it all kinds of different ways. It's so fucked up and shady, social media. And yeah, you guys would not do this if there were real world repercussions in your life where it's like, yeah, you don't talk like that to people's faces. It's rude. And you usually have something happen to you. Well, you can get away with an anonymity online. But if we had a list of where y'all were, would you do it still? No, you wouldn't. You'd be cowards and you'd be scared that we come and get you. So see, that's that right there. So Nameless wants a list. He's gonna send fat, greasy haired men over there. Yeah. G saying the rumor is untrue. Scotty wasn't following him, but was liking some of his posts. This is another fake news narrative. I know because I specifically looked a few weeks after Fred's event. Also, Fred and Gabe apparently consulted with Fred about the free agency moves. Sorry, meant consulted with Kyle. Okay. All right, I want to parse this all out that G's got here. Yeah, I believe this because I've seen Scott like Fred's post in the last few weeks. He did. He liked his Fred VanVleet week post in the last week, even. So there's no merit to the whole idea that Scotty unfollowed Fred. I think that G's right. He didn't really actually follow him. He was just checking on him and liking his stuff from time to time. A lot of people will do this stuff from time to time. And it's really not anything to read into. This isn't like you're checking your ex-girlfriend shit or anything weird like that or checking all this. No, these are players and they have their rights to follow or not follow whoever. And everybody should stop reading too much into that kind of stuff. In some ways, the players have to do like the theatrical stuff for everybody online and say, yes, I'm cool with Pascal because I'm friends with him. And yes, I like his post. Ooh, we better put this stuff out there so people don't worry that we don't like each other. What the fuck is all that? Seriously. Oh my gosh. I'd much rather them be off social media, working out and doing things to help their career than worrying about liking each other's posts so that Raptors Nation feels good that they like each other. It's ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. It's interesting that you're saying that they consulted with Kyle about their moves, Gabe, Vincent, and Fred. Well, that makes sense. Kyle's a mentor to both of those guys. And they probably talk separately. I'm not going to say that they consulted with each other to try and screw the Raptors over so that Gabe wouldn't be available to us. That doesn't make any sense. Or maybe Kyle, this is all right. Let's do a Winders real quick. What if Kyle advised Gabe to go to the Lakers and then he advised Fred to go to the Rockets and then he knows he's going to get bought out or waived and stretched, as they put it, by the Miami Heat, and he wants to come and take the point guard spot here in Toronto. I don't know. It's probably not possible at this point, but maybe it is. If he gets waived all of a sudden, he's kind of floating. Maybe he goes to Chicago and hangs out with DeMar. Maybe he comes back to Toronto and retakes his spot on this team as the captain. I don't know. A lot of things could be possible still in this month of free agency and flux in the NBA right now. So we'll have to see. But that'd be funny if Kyle advised those guys to go do that because he wanted the spot back here. That'd be so weird. Leslie said, good morning, Raptor Freak family. Fred VanVleet thanked Toronto and the fans, but also mentioned that he went from the most loved to the most hated. Doesn't that just break your heart, Leslie? Like, seriously, that makes me mad that he will put that in there, that he's nodding and saying that this is a problem. This makes me think about what Nick said. Fascinating country, fascinating people. He's reading all the stuff that we said on his way out. It could be like he was probably maybe listening to me and seeing me go off on him and everything like this and all this. And he's like, maybe, wow, I can't really like these people anymore because I hate them because the way they're treating me on the way out. I just got fired. And maybe they don't know the whole story and it's not really my fault and all this stuff. And like, yeah, so he's acting like he's acting the way he is. I get it. It could very well be that some of the people around the Raptors are really having problems with our franchise fans. Like, seriously, I don't even call them fans. Toxic Raptors Nation is an issue right now. It's obviously an issue. Shanika Young's fighting with fans online last night on Twitter about whether her husband's worth $8 million and if he's too old or not. This is a common thing with her. She will stand up for her husband because she loves him. And she will jump in there with just jabronis, these idiots I'm talking about, somebody in a basement out in Vaughan He was talking out of pocket, stupid shit. He's really a Bills fan or a Leafs fan, but he likes moonlighting with the Raptors, and he'll get on there and fucking say stupid ass shit in the basement or wherever the fuck they are, and he's arguing with Shanika Young. Just don't do it. Let's just ignore them. Seriously, we give them power when we actually react to them. And Kevin Durant, he's getting trolled on purpose because people want to see if they actually get him to react to them and interact with them. So in some ways, he's enticing it by going and engaging with them. And I would just advise people, just don't engage with people online anymore. Seriously, it's not worth it, especially on Twitter, especially in Facebook or Instagram. You want to engage with people on your Twitch channel, Chris or Scotty or Dalano, that's something else. But when you are on different places, it's just not worth it. It really isn't worth it at this point. Nothing gets figured out. These are just idiots, and they get attention and they don't deserve. So, oh man, it's crazy. G saying, Leslie, and I know he made light of it, but that's pretty sad and embarrassing for our nation, in my opinion. I'm sure Scotty's seeing that as good for us. I hope. I don't know. I don't know how to deal with this. In some ways, it really does hurt us, and I hate it because honestly, Fred's story is like Rudy. He's like an underdog story. He's the epitome of what our franchise is all about, being an underdog. He's like the human personification of our franchise in some ways. And maybe that's just how much people hate the underdog that our team has to be, that they hate the actual person that embodies it. In some ways, we really need to honor him like crazy in the years to come. And we need to hope that these toxic people just become less and less important and just go away and fade away into the dark, because we need to be more vocal in love. And this may be just in general around the world. They can't defeat us if we going forward with love. It's the hate and just pulling us apart and the negativity and all that stuff is what is the biggest problem in the world. Well, they can't defeat love. And so if we overwhelmingly make our voices loud with love, we can beat this toxic shit. I mean, it sucks. There's going to be a little minority of stupid people that are going to be doing this, but we can't make them the most vocal, most perceived part of our fan nation. That Fred shouldn't be looking at them as the people that are making the decree about him. He should be hearing the people that love him, the people that celebrate his path of being undrafted to being a max player, to being a champion, all that stuff. Seriously. So let's go out with love and share the love, just like Scotty says, and drown out the negative voices. You see places where people are super negative, just put love down on there and let's not even attack them anymore. Let's just unfollow, let's block, let's mute. These are the things we got to do. The less and less we give them attention, the more they wither away and die. And we put plants of positivity out there and shine and speaker and loud as hell about the love and the good things instead. And hopefully they get more follows, they get more retweets, they get more shares, and we drown out the negativity, because that's the best strategy at this point. Those people are going to be like that no matter what. Well, we need to be out there as a counterforce, being just as loud in a positive way, because we can't control those idiots, those trolls. They're going to be there, and they're not going anywhere. This might maybe going to get worse. Maybe we all get more used to how to deal with them in this wild west of social media online world right now. And maybe the players and the Raptors get better at this. I really do feel like the Toronto Raptors organization needs to get not like an IT department, but an online social media department, other than admin and posting things on Instagram and doing things with their accounts. But seriously, like a PR department. It's not even like a PR department, but a social media standing kind of department. And just have people that are out there helping the players and their families to navigate the new world of toxicness on social media in a healthy way, so that they're not taking on any issues like Shanika might be, or Fred, or any of them guys. And just, counsel them on how to handle their social media so that they lessen this kind of bullshit affecting them in any kind of way. I don't want any of the players to have mental health problems because of fucking dumbass jabroni out in fucking Saskatchewan who's a Raptors fan and he thinks he knows everything about how the Raptors should do something. You're out the fucking prairies, bro. Do you even play basketball, bro? So what the fuck do you know? I don't want them to hear these voices and have them in their heads. So we really like, I think you all need somebody, just like they have a rookie orientator person that says, you're a rookie, Grady Dick. We got to teach you how to be a pro. And this is how the NBA is. Well, you may need to start teaching all of them better things about how to utilize social media in a way that they're not getting dragged down by fucking idiots. Because seriously, Fred's nodding to that this is a problem. Yeah. That he went to the most hated. That's horrible. That is horrible. That is absolutely horrible. As above, so below. Warline saying Atlanta really wants Pascal. Well, they can join the other 10 teams that want him for nothing. He is a Raptor. I'm sick of hearing his name brought up. Can we just give him a contract already? I'm with you, Warline. Seriously. You know, whatever. Pascal is a Raptor as long as he's a Raptor until Bobby and Masai decide. And I don't want them to decide a certain way. If they do, well, I'm going to know that it's the right deal, much like DeMar was. I don't want them to trade Pascal. And I'm going to be very curious to see if it happens. And if it does, it better be for the right price and it won't be a Rob Babcock kind of move. That's part of it is right there. In some ways, we're still in a good place. We don't have to actually do any kind of move. It's teams like Atlanta and Portland that are way more desperate. And in some ways, that means we need to use our leverage and advantage to fleece them. If you really want to get rid of Lillard, well, you're going to have to, this is what you're going to take from us. And it may not be as much as you want. And that's that. If you do a 3-team deal with Atlanta and somehow this happens, this shifts here and Dame Lillard's here all of a sudden, we got to make sure that we're not giving up too much just to get him. And in some ways, it's really the end game is, all right, Bobby, what does the roster look like after this deal? And does it look like it can win? Does it look better? And if it doesn't, well, don't do the deal. Definitely don't do the deal. Nameless is saying, gee, it's funny. The first thing I thought when the signing happened was, what does Mr. Kalo think about all this? Well, I'm sure Kyle's very proud of Fred. He's very, very proud of him getting such a huge bag. And he's also proud of Gabe, I'm sure, for going to the Lakers and doing that. I'm sure he's very proud of them. Leslie's saying we have to understand that he went undrafted. I still remember him in the G League championship bench mob. And when he made it to the starting lineup, guys, Fred was a part of our championship. Yeah. Put respect on his name. In fact, I don't think it is people, in some ways, part of it is they want to erase our championship. They've done all kinds of crazy stuff to try and sully us. They don't like saying the Toronto Raptors champions thing in the year after we won. They would not say it on broadcast very often. Every once in a while, they begrudgingly would say it. And in some ways, part of dismantling our team over the few years is to say that we don't have any champion Raptors on our team anymore. This is a huge crown jewel of Fred going to Houston because we can't say we have our champion point guard Fred VanVleet. And that is very much a part of it. And that's why in some ways people are saying they want Siakam gone. I don't like it because he is really the last champion standing on our team. OG and Chris have rings, but they didn't really play in that playoff. And that's part of the thing that I really hate about this. They want to erase the memory of the championship in Toronto as much as possible by getting every single person who was involved in it away from our team. And I wish that more Raptor fans that are good, standing, positive Raptor fans realize this. And when you start talking like, I want Kyle out for this, I want Powell gone for this, we can't have Serge anymore. We got to get rid of Fred this season. You are adding to this inertia that pushes our champions away from our team. And that's why I'm kicking people out from this channel for talking about wanting to trade Pascal. Because I don't want to trade him. Bobby and Masai want to trade him. That's another thing. But I don't want to trade him because I want to keep linkages to our championship. And the NBA is trying to erase it. So I hate it. I hate it so much. It's really pissing me off. And I really am angry. I've been so angry since Friday night. I'm seriously have been. And yesterday made me even more angry to see how Fred wrote that like that. It made me realize that the problems that are going on in the fight that Mike and Monique and I have on our hands is very, very much a real fight. And in some ways we didn't win this year. And I hate it. I hate it so much. I want the positive side of our fan nation to speak up, stand up, and be more vocal and drown out these fucking idiots that are getting heard, the minority. They're not even like most of us. They really aren't. There's a very, very small minority of very toxic, stupid ass Raptors Nation. and we had a list of where you guys lived, you'd shut the fuck up real quick. Trust me, you would. Yeah, you would, real quick. All right, let me find my place in the comments, and we'll keep going with all the great comments. I see so many different names here today. I really appreciate everybody being here and talking to us in a tough time during the Raptors franchise. There's a lot of stuff that is kind of, you know, unsettled and a little like rough right now. Things are very rough right now, and we got to kind of like weather the storm. Weather the storm. All right, let's see. I am at Leslie. I agree that some who shall not be mentioned started a hate Fred campaign. Who is next on the hit list? Well, Pascal is right now. He's the next one on their deck, and he's already going after him right now. I called it. I said it doesn't matter if Fred leaves. He's just going to pick the next person on our team to go after. He's not a person that's for our team. If you follow Penn State basketball, please strongly reconsider doing that, because he's not a good force and he's not a Raptors fan. If you support his content, you are encouraging him to spread hate and try and destroy our team. So I highly recommend anybody who's still following Robert Misovich to stop, because we need him to become irrelevant and to just go the fuck away. And, you know, he's causing damage. He is causing damage. His ego may be fed by me saying that. I don't give a shit. But he needs to fucking be irrelevant. And y'all need to stop giving him relevancy by promoting his ideas and pushing him in different places. Fuck that guy. Seriously. Seriously, y'all. If you're following him and you're pushing his narratives, you're a part of the problem too. So, all right, let's keep going. Nameless is saying, or G saying, Nameless, don't think that's it. By the time they got to the chip, Kyle had been playing for 13 years already, drafted in 2006. Fred joined the main roster in 2017, G League's 2016. Kyle had 10 years on him. I don't even know what you're talking about exactly there. Oh, wait, hang on. I did miss this thing. All right, Nameless saying, I think this signing is an admittance from Fred that he failed as Kyle Lowry's replacement, and Toronto probably wanted the consent to do so. No, I won't go behind that. And I'm with G. That has nothing to do with it. Fred was a capable fill-in for Kyle after Kyle left for the couple of years just now, and it wasn't a bad thing. In fact, he helped us not feel the loss of Kyle as strongly. And we're going to feel it maybe a little bit more this year in some ways. We're going to feel it more this year than when Kyle left, now that Fred's gone. Seriously, you're going to see that. I don't think that this is any kind of admittance by Fred that he failed as a replacement for Kyle. No, he just took the bag. It's just as simple as that. And I'm not even going to give credit to Penn State or any of the Fred haters for why Fred left. That's not why he left. He left because they gave him a huge amount of money. In some ways, the circus of social media is all on the side. And he's just like, yeah, I'll laugh at it. And he alluded to it, made a joke about it. But ultimately, what happened with Fred was Houston gave him an amount of money he couldn't say no to. And that's the only reason why he left Toronto. It's not because he didn't like here. It's not because he failed as a replacement for Kyle. It's not because he didn't really want to be here. It's just that he couldn't say no to that amount of money. That is the only reason why Fred is in the Houston Rockets jersey, is they gave him so much he could just not say no. And it really doesn't have to do completely with the hate. He doesn't care. He feeds on it. In some ways, he probably read some of this stuff just to get up and have determination to get out on the court and prove everybody wrong. So, I say the whole reason why Fred is in Houston right now is all just money, an absolutely obscene, gross amount of money that he just could not refuse. And that is the only sole way. You say there's a cause of death for somebody who dies. Well, the cause of leaving is the money. And it's just that. Don't read into it any other way, which way otherwise. It's not Scotty. It's not this. It's not Masai. It's not this. It is just the huge bag that Houston put on the table in front of him. And that is the whole and only reason why he's in Houston. Trust me. All right, let's keep going. Leslie saying Fred isn't Kyle. Fred is Fred. You can only be you. Yep, I agree with that. Nameless saying could be right, G, but they have had to be at least some sentimental words exchanged. Kyle and Fred for sure. Yeah, they've been talking this whole time through this whole process. Kyle's very proud of him, I'm sure. Kilimanjaro's here. Good to see a Raptor freak. We haven't seen in a bit, but good to see you drop in again. Who will the Raptors peanut gallery hate next? I know, man. You're calling it right now. I'm pretty sure it's going to be Pascal first. But once again, let's be the counteroffensive and talk about how much we love Pascal, talk about how much we value him, how much we really do appreciate what he does for us, instead of falling into that chasm of negativity and start talking all kinds of crazy bullshit. Because when you go that direction, you're more like the very racist people that attack Pascal and say really fucked up, crazy, awful things about him. You go and want to be like those people, the racists, the really crazy motherfuckers that said some really awful shit after the bubble and him, not playing well in that performance there. Yeah, you go and disregard or disrespect Pascal. Well, you're more in that group with those motherfuckers that are very racist. And you know the stuff I'm talking about that they said about Siakam. I do not have to repeat it here or give it justice here because it is fucked up. Fun guy saying, I don't want Damian Lillard at all unless we only use OG, the main core. You mean we only trade OG? I don't exactly understand your statement, fun guy. You're saying you want Lillard only if we trade OG for him? Maybe elaborate, please. Mike is saying, salute the real ones. Project Truth always. Project Truth is really, really important, Mike. That's what I'm saying. Most hated part is really my biggest pet peeve about Raptors fans. It's disgusting to hate our own players, and people think that's what being a fan is all about. Shaking my head. I hate this too because other people around the NBA think that we're an awful fan base because Fred said that. In some ways, that's part of why he said it, is our reputation is really bad because of fucking idiots like Robert and other people like that. Yeah, seriously. Our fan nation just like said goodbye to one of our greatest players ever. And he's telling us that he feels like he's the most hated. That is fucked up. And other fan nations will see that and they'll be like, they didn't deserve Fred. They never deserved him and all this kind of stuff. It's really messed up, Mike. And that's why we need to amp it up. You and me. We got to go even harder and stronger with the positivity and the stand for our team. And, we got to drown out this kind of bullshit. Mike, now more than ever, Project Truth. And we cannot rest on our laurels on this. This may be a very, very important fight in the year to come, in the years to come. That we need to start switching this around and we need to get a healthier fan base. And in some ways, I don't mind making it a club where you say, you're not allowed in here. And seriously, we've done that to a degree with this channel, but we may need to do it even more in some ways and really get the casuals and the fucked up, the more recent fans that really don't understand what a bad team is like need to shut up. Y'all have no reference point to like 95, 2000, 2005, 2010. Some of y'all that just showed up and started rooting for the Raptors since the championship, you guys are not qualified to make opinions about what the Raptors should do with their franchise because y'all do not have the depth of experience to know the history of all the different eras of the Raptors and where we were with different front offices and different things going on. So you may think it's bad in some ways what's going on. Actually, our situation right now is really, really good. A lot of experts say this, and y'all are just idiots because you have no field of perspective that goes beyond 2019. And that's just the damn truth. If you're a more recent fan, just hold your tongue. If you go and brush up on studying the NBA all the way back to George Mikan in 1947, then I will maybe listen to you. But otherwise, if you're just a fan that's only thinking about the NBA exactly how it is right now and everything like that, you do not have an educated opinion. You need to shut the fuck up. That's just the pure truth of it. I'm sorry. And if you're a newer fan and you really care about the team, I'm not saying that to you. I want y'all to love the team and go for it, but educate yourself on the issues. And don't just speak out from your frame of reference of the success of 2019 to now. Speak on your frame of reference all the way back to 95. And when the team was an expansion team, everything that we've gone through this whole ride, as some of us old heads have done, because you don't have any idea what a mismanaged bad organization is because you haven't seen it. We haven't seen it since 2013. Seriously, our team has been ran really well for 10 years, and y'all have no idea what it's like to cheer for a team like the Houston Rockets in the last few years, or like Orlando Magic or other teams that are really, really fucking bad. Charlotte Hornets. So be careful. Seriously, we don't want to go in the wrong direction. We want to go up, and y'all have no fucking idea how much worse it can get. And y'all aren't helping things. Let's just put it that way. Monique saying, good morning, everyone. Good morning to the super fan, Monique Lawrence. I'm so proud that you're here and so happy you're here, Monique. I love you, and I hope you're having a great Monday. I know it's a long weekend. Nobody's out and about. I guess today's off for most people. People are off today. G saying, the mentality is I'm going to try and destroy someone to help you and show my love for you. No, you just showed that person you're a psycho. Yeah. Yeah, that's Panzer right there. I love Scotty so much. I'm going to destroy Fred next to him. Well, this is if he's smart, he's very calculated. He's just using that. What he's doing is he's taking people's enthusiasm and joy and love for Scott and the way they look at him. Some of the young people, as I said, they identify with him as being young people themselves. And in their own lives, they may be in kind of versus mode with some older people because they're pissed off about. I get it. Like I said, younger generations, y'all need to help us and you will change the world because you're angry and you're pissed. I'm one of these old heads that are on your side. I'm not against y'all. I want to help in this situation with the climate change and the fucking planet burning down that y'all are getting inherited. I get it. There's generations before me that set up a system that fucked us all. And I'm just as mad as you. But that doesn't mean that you got to tell people like me and Fred that care about and want to help Scott and you to fuck off. We need to band together and help each other because we're in the same boat. We're on the same planet. I may be a little bit older. I may die before the really worst shit starts happening to the earth, but I feel bad about this situation just like y'all do. And so please, I know that the WHO always said, don't trust anybody over 30. And that's how some of these kids are acting these days. And that's what Panzer, he utilized the love for Scott, the enthusiasm of Scott to turn it to hate against Fred. It's a playbook used by like politicians and fucked up right-wing motherfuckers down south. And a lot of the stuff that's happening in our Raptors Nation is all political playbook bullshit, subterfuge, confusion, fucking chaos agents kind of bullshit is what's happening. And the more we recognize it and understand it, the more Raptors fans will not sheeple into these narratives and follow people like Panzer. Because it is a big problem. It seriously is. They took the love for Scott and turned it into hate for Fred. It's a playbook. And, if you hated Fred just because you love Scott so much, you are a psycho. Seriously, that's very much psycho's mentality. You want to show your love for someone by fucking being hurtful towards someone else? You're a fucking psycho. And G is exactly right. He's exactly right. Tom Duke saying that statement was very bet on yourselfish and that he is indeed all about Fred. There are fans outside of the city. See, Tom's taken a disrespect that he didn't get thanked as a fan out in Victoria. And then he only said, he didn't even say Canada, Toronto, or the Raptors name in that statement. And in some ways, that's very calculated and kind of fucked up. Like both Fred and Nick's statements are both kind of bullshit in some ways. Like if you really want to know how to write a statement to a city, go look at Kyle's. Go look at some other people that have done it in other places. And I guess, Fred, maybe you have a bad taste in your mouth because of how you had to leave or how you left and how some of the people in our nation are talking about you. I get it. But it could have been a little warmer in some ways. And maybe you didn't need to acknowledge your haters because that didn't help you and definitely didn't help our fan nation. And maybe that was by a decision. But you acknowledged them. You gave them power. And in some ways, you going on your way out and acknowledging them and remembering our fan nation as haters, that's fucked up, Fred, in some ways. You just empowered those people. It's a really dumb move. It's not a good strategy in the art of war to acknowledge your enemies and when you don't have to. There's a reason why you'll never hear the WWE say AEW on their channel. You never ever hear that on their programming. And that's what I'm saying. You did not have to acknowledge your haters. You could have just acknowledged the people that love you. And in some ways, by acknowledging your haters, it's disrespectful to the people that did love you because you think we're all haters. And the people that stood beside you and stood up for your good name this whole time feel like the other people won because you view it as the haters won. That's messed up, Fred. You shouldn't have put that in there. It didn't serve you and it didn't serve anybody. It didn't serve you in the end. You gave power to your troll haters by saying that. Seriously. And it's a miscalculation. Maybe it's on design. I don't know. Cool Cat saying, good morning, Raptor Freak crew. Love Drake's comments to Fred. However, Fred, most hated comment is just dumb and unprofessional. So what if some fans no longer like you? Also, Pascal's bubble experience was the lowest. Oh, yeah. And that's funny. Kenrick Chronic Art James was saying this last night in our Facebook chat. He's like, who the fuck does he think he is? He thinks he's the most hated player in Raptors history. That's bullshit. The most hated player in Raptors history is Kyle Lowry after the first game against Orlando in our championship year. The amount of hate that Kyle got for having an 0-for game that was really, really bad in the first game of the playoffs after years and years of misery and not doing well in the playoffs, him and DeMar, was on an unprecedented level. There's nothing more hateful than what happened to Kyle. in the 24 hours after that first Orlando game in the first round of our championship year. I'm sorry. There was amazing amount of hate, and it was from positive Raptor fans too at that time. Now, the stuff with Siakam in the bubble, that is on the list too, and that is higher than Fred's. In a lot of ways, the stuff that happened to Pascal was a vile racist attacks and some of the really messed up things that were said about him. So I would definitely rank that one higher. And then we can start talking about people that we actually hate, like Goran. Goran is actually one of the most hated Raptors ever. And, you got to really keep it in perspective, Fred. And once again, you shouldn't be looking at the dark side of things. You'd be looking at the light side. People like Cool Cat and myself that loved you and supported you. But instead, you want to give more notice to the people that hated you. That's not smart, Fred. That's not smart. You're smarter than that. Tom's saying, yeah, let's move on. Fred who? Tom's really mad at Fred. Seriously, he didn't like that statement at all. I just hope that Raptors Nation can grow up and mature in how we treat our players. It really is a maturity problem. I'll bet you that most of the people that are causing problems in our fan nation are all under the age of 20. Like, I'll bet you they're like 6-year-old, 7-year-old kids that are really immature and stupid. There may be some teenagers that think that they're so cool and they really know everything. They don't fucking know jack shit, and they're just negative little shitheads. Seriously, I can make this an age thing. I know there's not a lot of 40-year-old people like me that's doing it. If there are, y'all need to fucking grow up. I'm pretty sure it's young people that are really stupid and very, very much toxic and vocal in the Raptors Nation. So if you're a young person that loves the Raptors, please, come to your senses. If you want that team to win and get more championships, come to your senses and think about how you're dealing with things on social media. Let's see. Mike's saying, you know what happened with Fred and scapegoating him will come back to haunt us. When someone else leaves and has no loyalty to the city, this is the reason, not gonna lie, how much needs to be done to get praise. You know what, Mike, let's not read into this too much. Once again, let's write our own narratives, our narratives that are good. We don't want to write a narrative where somebody's going to look at this. This is business. In some ways, the NBA is cutthroat and fucked up, and there's no loyalty. And we know this. In some ways, we have family and loyalty with the Raptors organization more than some other teams do. But in the end, it's still just a business, just like the DeMar deal. It's just a business. Fred, it's just a business. And that's really what a lot of this is. Once again, I want to minimize the factor of us, that we shouldn't have so much power at this point. In fact, I feel like we've had way more power this year to shape the Raptors than we should have. And that may be on the fault of Bobby and Masai, maybe on the fault of Nick Nurse, maybe on the fault of the players themselves for listening to the toxic Raptors Nation too much. Y'all need to really shut us off, and don't even dare to go look there. If you have a relative that likes looking for you, just tell them to stop too. Just shut that all off. You do not need to hear these fucking idiots because they have nothing to offer. They're just destructive. There's nothing good in it. And there's always going to be a hater. There's always going to be some stupid jabroni idiot saying some stupid out of pocket shit that's uneducated and just, they could get away with it because they're anonymous. If you said that shit in person, you would fucking get knocked out. And that's the thing. That's what I'm saying. So if you're a professional athlete, don't even go online. If you have fun, you have your own stuff, limit who can comment on there. Really, make your own boundaries. That's what you got to do. You have to have boundaries in this situation. Definitely for right now. And it's for your own mental health. Trust me. It's for your own mental health. Listen, the scapegoating or whatever, fuck all that shit. Once again, we give power to what we give our attention to. And we got to stop feeding these plants that don't need any sunshine or water with our attention and stop doing it. Just stop doing it. M. Jones is saying, sup, Raptor freaks? After hearing what the letter said from Fred, for him to say he feels like he's the most hated Raptor, that's just simply weird to me, to be honest. There are critics out there, simple. I hate it, M. Jones, because he heard the critics more than he heard the love. And that's what I hate about it. I get it. Not everybody's going to be perfect, but it is true. Fred had an overwhelming negative toxicness around him on social media this year completely. A lot of fans that don't understand it. Well, God bless you. You're not online and you don't see what we've seen. And we understand why he said it. If you guys are ignorant to why Fred said he's the most hated, well, you weren't online enough this year to understand why he feels that way. And God bless you. Ignorance is bliss. In some ways, I wish I was that out of the blue, like out of it, so that I didn't understand what was going on with this. And that I would be like, why did Fred say he's the most hated? I wish I was that clueless and out of the loop. as a Raptor fan. But no, I understand why he said it, and it's messed up. It's really, really messed up. Kareem saying Drake painted his fingernails pink and decided to go after Fred VanVleet through Twitter. I truly believe if we showered Fred with the same amount of love than hate, he would have definitely stayed. I don't know if that's true, Kareem. I don't think any kind of amount of love or hate, balance, or whatever in our fan nation would have changed the bag. The bag is the bag, and the bag was the ultimate decision. It has nothing to do with any of that. And once again, I'm sick of giving these people power. Fred gave them a little bit of power by acknowledging them in his statement. And let's stop. Let's just stop giving them power in those kind of ways, because that's part of the problem. That is part of the problem right there. Fred maybe wanted to feed the haters for him after the door. He's like feeding them on the way out or something like that. I don't know. But listen, I'm definitely behind showering more love out there and being more positive and being more vocal positive. And I'm not even just talking about with the Raptors. I'm talking about in general in life. There's so much negativity and bad stuff out there. Let's be forces of love and light and positivity in our everyday lives as much as we can be. It's a very much a deeper thing than just in the Raptors and the negativity around our fan base. It's the same thing just in life in general. So the more love and light we put out in the world, the more we fight the badness and the negativity and all the other things. You see an ugly thing, like somebody says a racist thing to somebody on transit, you go and you hug somebody instead. You go and you say, I see you and what you're doing. You did a good deed there and I love you for it. You know, you just share love. You do things that are positive and influence other people around you in a positive way. It can help in this kind of thing. The negative stuff gets too much attention and it's put on blast, and we need more good stories. We need more good stuff happening out there. Maybe it won't get as much attention, but the more and more of it, the better, and the more of it out there to fight the other side. And I really do believe this so strongly. If there's one thing you can do in this world, you can either go in through this world with love or hate, and it's your choice every day. Kilimanjaro saying Raptors lost part of its soul with Fred leaving. Which player left on the team that has his killer mentality? Well, Dennis Schroeder is an interesting player. He very much is. Noel may be the next Fred. I mean, he really does. He's cut from the same cloth as him. He's shorter than him. So maybe his chip on his shoulder is a little bit even crazier because he's 5'8". In some ways, Noel is giving all kinds of signs that he's serious. And like, I know that maybe talk is talk, but why? I mean, seriously, he's very confident. And I know he has certain skills. And he's a very smart guy that Noel could have a very interesting path. In some ways, he could like be very much not exactly the same as Fred. I don't know if his ceiling's as high as Fred is, but he could do some very interesting things from where he's coming from as an undrafted two-way this year for us. So we'll have to see. You know, the mentality that you're talking about, the killer mentality. Well, if we traded for Dame Lillard, we'd get that. We would. You know, I don't know. I want Scotty to get a killer mentality. Scotty could develop a killer mentality. He cares a little bit more. He really wants to use his amazing athleticism and his NBA body to his full strength to figure out how the game's going to be determined. He could do that. Scott needs to realize his own powers, and he could develop into like, I'm a dominant kind of guy. I want to be like LeBron. I want to like be the most dominant guy on the court, not necessarily in scoring, but just the best player on the court, doing everything all around. You know, he could get more like that. He has just started to scratch the surface as far as realizing his powers. In some ways, Scott is just like a young deer or a young dog that has big paws and they haven't grown into them yet. And the way he gets his steady on his legs as a deer, that he's going to take off. And we need him to learn what he can do and just how powerful he can be on an NBA court. And when he's smart enough to understand it and control it, he can direct it and he can be that player that I just described. I see that in Scott. It's just really him learning the NBA game, getting comfortable with it, and understanding just how powerful he is to direct his energy in the way that will help his team win. And it's there. It's just he's got to. It's gonna click at one point. It's gonna be boop, and then all of a sudden Scott has figured it out, and he really wants to force his will on games. He will do it. He will do it. Let's see. G saying M Jones. He was being threatened. His fiance had to go private. It got very, very bad. It was not just criticism. That subgroup was insane. Yeah. The toxic Fred haters in our fan nation, well, in our Raptors nation, I don't consider them fans. A very vocal minority that caused a lot of damage this year. Yeah, going after people's families, talking to them directly online, just stop. If you're a little kid and you're getting jollies from antagonizing Kevin Durant or Shanika Young, you get a life. Seriously, get a life. And seriously, stop feeding them. Durant, I understand why you do it because it's your thing. You like the hate. But Shanika, don't talk to them. Seriously, you're above them. You don't need to talk to these idiots that are slamming your husband. They don't matter, honestly. What matters is that $8 million that he got, and he's in the NBA again this year, and that y'all have a good family and you're raising two good boys, and all the positives and good things about your life. This noise on Twitter is fucking bullshit, and you just need to cut it out. And when you acknowledge them, you give them power. So that's what I'm saying to y'all. Just ignore those fucks, and hopefully they'll just wither away in the darkness of nobody paying attention to them. Because that's really what we got to do. Cece's here. Good to see Cece. It's been a bit. Good to see Raptor Freak Cece. Hi to all. Though I don't comment much, I'm here every day. Disappointed that Fred's put in the statement most hated. Unfortunately, he left with these words now that forever taint his legacy with the Raptors. I know. And another way that I don't like it either. I think his statement was okay and he means well with it. But yeah, there's some things about it that are kind of annoying. But it is what it is. In some ways, he's got to be in good standing. I'm not gonna slam him. I'm sad that he's gone. I'm glad he's on the Rockets. If he's going to be on another team, I'm glad he's in the Western Conference, and he's not on a team that's super good or any like going to have major moves this year. In fact, I don't think they're going to be that good this year still. Even with the new vet infusion, there's an orientation year that's going to be a little weird. And I honestly don't think that personality mix in Houston's going to work. You got Dylan Brooks there now, M.A. Adoka, Fred VanVleet. It's a little weird. And then the knucklehead youngsters that were already there, Jalen Green and all those guys. So, yeah, they've already traded Josh Christopher because they know that it's probably not going to be the same way it was the last couple of years there. Let's see. Cool Cat saying, as a public figure, not everyone will like you. Go high when some go low. What you think will get and what do you think you'll get in Houston Rockets? Fred needs to model Pascal, Kyle's approach to public life. Yeah, he's just a sensitive little kid still. Like Fred is a very sensitive person. And in some ways, he's like an egotist, like we've been saying, and he wants to go check and see what people are saying. Well, he probably did go look way more than we thought. And that was a mistake, especially with what was going on this year. Really a mistake. You should have just focused and just played, bro. You'll be all right, Fred. Fun guy saying, bro, Fred is not old. Laughing my ass off. Most of his haters, like Pensera, are, for example, even older. Most of the fan base are like in their 20s, being Fred's age or around. Age battle is out of context. Yeah, but all right, well, it's a maturity thing. All right, maybe I shouldn't say the ages. It's a maturity thing. It really has to do with being mature, emotionally mature, just mature in general in life. I mean, okay, if Misovic is older than Fred, he's not very mature. Fred was mature like before he hit 10. He had to be mature because of survival and living his life, and his situation with his dad was dead all of a sudden. You know, his early life made him mature very early. And some of it is emotional maturity. Some of it is just like general maturity. And you're right. Maybe I shouldn't make it an age thing, but forgive me for thinking that people that don't have as much experience in life haven't learned the tough lessons to become more mature. And it could very well be that idiot that has a channel has some more tough lessons to become more mature over time. And he will hopefully get them. Maybe not. He'll just live unconsciously his whole life in some sort of weird way. But whatever. But I get what you're saying. I think, all right, I'll change this. I won't make it an age thing. Although the age battle is stupid, especially if the young people are mad at old people for this is the one thing in the NBA. These young players are going to need guidance from vets. That's one thing we've learned more than ever with Ja Morant and different people around the league is the vets are very important, and the NBA is valuing them all of a sudden. We've seen teams picking up vets like crazy, like Houston and Memphis, to try and rectify some of the knuckleheadedness of their youngsters. So in some ways, old people have always guided young people and mentored them and taught them stuff. And the young people rejecting the mentorship of older people, that's a folly in y'all. Because in some ways, you may not like what we have to say. You may not want to hear it, but we can help you guys, regardless of whether you think we can or not. We definitely can. And if you don't want to take the advice or the path and the leadership from us, well, then you're on your own and you're kind of up a creek with no paddle. Because you're going to try and figure it out on yourself, well, that may be harder. And some of the answers you may be trying to seek are very easily just told to you, but you're too proud to listen. because you're young and you just know it all. See, that's part of what I'm talking about right there. And I won't put any age on that. You could be 7, you could be 17, you could be 27, you could be 37, you should be 47, like I am. So, I get it. I get it, fun guy. I get it. MSJ saying, I think Scotty is fine. He has his family to help him mature. Fred VanVleet, the issue as a basketball player is that you're just not going to listen much to a player who isn't as good as you. I never did. I get that. And that may be part of the dynamic that's difficult. I mean, Scott is a generational talent. He's a 4th pick. He's very much got a bag. But in some ways, there is a disconnect of being able to relate with each other because Fred had to go a whole different hard route, and Scotty may have had it a little easier than him. In some ways, Fred may not respect that as much. In some ways, I get it. Scotty won't listen to Fred because he's not as talented as him. Well, that's a dumb kind of logic. And I don't think that that's that way anyway. I mean, I get it. If you're arrogant like that because you're so good, you're not going to become better. If you really won't. And that may be the case with a lot of the top players in the NBA. They think exactly what you're saying, MSJ. Well, the top players are not like that, and they take direction from everybody. In fact, they have no ego in it where they'll listen to the 15th man if they've been in the league for 10 years, even if they're not taking any minutes and they're not anywhere near the same talent level as them. People that listen to Udonis Haslem on the Miami Heat team as young players in the last couple of years were smarter than the ones who didn't. I mean, that's just the pure truth of it. So I get it. I mean, I think Scotty's fine too, but he needs to listen to Darko. He needs to listen to Pascal. He needs to listen to Thaddeus. He needs to listen to his old heads. And he does. He does. I know that he does. I'm not worried. His family's not going to help him mature. No, not in some ways. They're not. I'm going to tell you that right now. The person that helped him mature was his coach, who he went and lived with during high school. His father, not totally active in his life, and his mother just trying to keep things afloat and being busy working and keeping them together. I get the feeling that Scott didn't have a whole lot of guidance from his parents in the right kind of way in some ways. And it's not really their fault totally. Well, maybe it's his dad's fault, but his mom may have been so busy. So I don't believe that his family is going to help him mature, because he would have matured even more at this stage if they were. It's the leaders and coaches and other players that are older than him, and his agents and people that are around him that will help him mature faster in some ways. Like maybe he has uncles or some people like that, but for the most part, in some ways, Scott's a big kid still, partly because of the way he was raised. Let's just put it that way. All right, let's see. Kareem saying, in Lowry's last days, Toronto turned on him. We were able to shoulder his loss of leadership because we had Fred waiting. Now that we ran Fred out of town, let's see who we turn on next. I hate this. Let's not even talk about it this way. Let's say, who are you going to turn on with love? Let's start slanting everything. Sometimes, like I said, the language that you use can really determine how things happen for you. If you want to project more badness, Kareem, then let's say who we're going to turn on next. How about instead, let's say, let's pick a player to share the love for, just like we do on Saturdays, sharing the love for people instead. And what we perceive and what we see will become more of the world we see. And maybe we can drown out the darkness with the light, is what I'm saying in this situation. That our biggest weapon against the toxic is the love and the admiration and the saying that we appreciate you, the gratitude towards these people. It's true. Kyle's in good place with us, though. Really, really good place with us. And even as DeMar is also. Fred will be in a good place with us also. This is just really awkward and weird. And once again, I don't like Clutch and how they're telling these guys to write their letters. We're getting shafted with like good, warm letters. Instead, Clutch and Fred and Nick are writing these fucking bullshit, fucked up form letters in some ways. This is a form letter in some ways. This is just the regular bullshit. And the one character thing you put in there is the hater part, Fred. That's not good. Fiercely saying, good morning, fam. Fred VanVleet vid farewell, but also threw a sub to his haters, wishing him well in Houston and hope the players gain mental toughness to deal against negative forces. Yes, they got to do a whole new teaching for even the vets. You got to go all the way to Thad Young, all the way down to Grady Dick, and teach each one of these players to be more savvy with their social media experience and really cut the really stupid shit out. If Fred's showing that the haters got to him, well, we need to do better. You know, if Nick Nurse is saying what a fascinating country with fascinating people, what does that mean? Well, maybe he's talking about this, what we're talking about right now. So I'm totally like, the less we acknowledge them, the less power they have, and they're getting acknowledged right now, and that's part of why they feel powerful, and they got results too, and that sucks. That sucks. Seriously, we don't need any victories for fucking idiot over on his channel. He feels like he has a victory this week, and why do all the real Raptor fans feel like we got a defeat, whereas he feels like he has a victory? Does that tell you enough about where he is with what he's trying to do with our franchise? That he's victorious this weekend when we feel defeated because our guy left? Yeah, that tells you all you need to know about what he's about and what matters to him. So anybody who's still following him, please really strongly consider. I'm not even saying follow me. You don't have to follow the extremes. Like, we're the extremes. He's one end and I'm the very much the other end, the positive end. And you don't have to be as positive as me. You can be cynical, but somewhere in the middle, but definitely don't follow him anymore. And don't echo his sentiments or push them any further, because you've seen now the damage that that can do with where we're at right now with some of the things that have happened recently. So don't throw gas on the fire and expand his voice. When you're posting and reposting articles and things, really look at the subject matter and say, is this helpful for the Raptors or not? And don't post it if it isn't. You don't need to give more voice to things that are not helpful to the team, getting more Larry O'Briens. That's what I'm saying. Mike's saying we can't act like Fred wasn't the most hated player on the Raptors by far. Nick is in second, but Fred got the para hate harder than anyone else for trying to win and get this team to win. Criticism is okay, but Mike, we're talking about all time. He may have been the most hated this past season, but all time he's not. He's not. He just isn't. You got to understand that Kyle Lowry hate, what I just said, and Pascal, that those are very, very bad times for the fan nation towards those guys. And yeah, I mean, I get it. For Fred's hate this year, it could be in the top 5. Maybe not. We can go way, way back. There's hate for Vince. There's a hate for Chris Bosh. There's different kinds of hates at different times. And, you know, I don't know where Fred's actually ranks on this. And I really, like, I don't want to make a list and trying to argue about who is most hated. It's kind of frivolous and stupid. And it's all kind of perceived. The eye is subjective in the eye of the beholder. To me, it's Lowry. Lowry was the most hated Raptor in the last 10 years at a certain point. Now, just straight up hate, Goran, but Lowry, like, getting the most vocal, crazy ass hate after that game. I'm telling you, it was really bad at that time. Kareem saying the fact that Fred mentions he was the most hated is showing Toronto fans our blemishes. He gave Fred a black eye, and we gave Fred a black eye, and he walked away from the fight. I know. I hate this. I hate this. I don't want to be associated with those haters. I'm not one of them, Fred. You know I'm not one of them. I said to your face, so I was so proud of you. And I said that I love that you re-signed with Toronto in the August of 2018 when I met you in person, stood next to you, talked to you personally for 5-10 minutes. You gave me the time that you had, and it didn't matter. Like, I'm so proud that you did that. And I'm like, holy crap. He could have told me, no, I don't want to talk to you. But no, he talked to me. He was very polite, never rude, took a picture with me. And he was exactly who you thought he is, exactly who he looks like he is. Just a nice guy that you can talk to, just an average kind of dude, and just plays in the NBA. And, you know, that's the thing. I've met him. I know what he's like in person, his energy. And it's nothing like what these people said about him all year, negative wise. It really isn't. It really, really isn't. Cool Cat saying, Lex, not everyone attacking Shanika are Raptors fans. Also, some of the toxic comments are hockey fans who fear basketball is becoming more popular. Now, this is a really good statement by Cool Cat, and they're all in full effect. They're all in cahoots for this. Josh Lewenberg, Doug Smith, hockey fans, TSN, Sportsnet, the NHL, the Toronto Maple Leafs. You're exactly right. There is an even more concerted effort to downsize the popularity of the Raptors right now because they're weakened. And be aware of this as Raptors fans, that there's forces out there to make you feel more negative about the Raptors because they want you to switch your attention to hockey. I noticed on Twitter that they've been overdoing showing me NHL free agency stuff this weekend. I don't follow anything from the NHL. It's like they're shoving it down my fucking throat. And I'm not seeing as much NBA free agency stuff. And I'm like, I don't want to see the NHL stuff. I don't give a shit. I don't care if they got fucking Ty Domi's son. I don't give a shit about any of that, you know, but it's getting shoved down my throat. And then you see people like Doug Smith and Josh Lewenberg put out articles that are kind of questioning what direction they're going to go and whether Raptors should be proud of Masai. They're trying to nail us even further. You know, in some ways, the toxic fans, the hockey fans, the whoever fans have done a lot of damage to us. They've seen that the Raptors were becoming more popular than the NHL, and they're trying to right that and fix it. Good Canadians that don't like the idea of little kids liking the Raptors more than the Leafs. So be aware of that as part of the struggle and what's going on right now. Is that hockey world is seeing an advantage. They're jumping on the weekend state of the Raptors, and they're trying to force uh, um, sports and entertainment budgets towards hockey again, away from the Raptors. And there's all kinds of, it's the same kind of thing. Just like there's right and left that battle in social media spaces, right wing, left wing. Well, hockey people are battling for the perception of wanting to put them more on the forefront. And be aware of this. This is exactly true what Cool Cat's saying. And some of the people that are talking to Shanika, yeah, they probably are Leaf fans that don't know what they're fucking talking about. And they're just as a side, oh, this is one of the Raptors' wives. Yeah, I'm going to just fucking talk shit to them. You know, there's so much swarthy, kind of arrogant, kind of bullshit motherfuckers in here in this city that are sports fans. And they are fucking idiots. Honestly, there's so many of these idiots. And seriously, and sometimes I wonder about the global community of Toronto not being helpful because we have different varieties of trolls, people that may be trolls in other sports like soccer or cricket or other places, and they have a certain way they look at teams and the way they act and the way they treat players and stuff like that. And in some ways, that is not healthy. They come from the way that they treat them from their home countries. You know, in some countries, they go and murder referees after soccer games, or there's very much hooliganism. We saw recently the racism in leagues in Israel towards black players, racism in Spain towards black players. And in some ways, the ugly toxicness of our fan nation is fed by international flavor trolls that are trolls from their own different places of other sports and other regions of the world and how they treat people. So we have to understand that. That's part of the makeup of the whole thing too. Besides the hockey people, they're definitely part of the problem for sure. For sure. Oh yeah. Nameless is saying apologies to all people watching from a basement in Brampton. No, I don't have no apologies for those waste youths out there in Brampton. They're talking about Fred on their computers and hiding behind a screen. Nah, y'all are not tough. Y'all are not badasses. Y'all are fucking weak ass little motherfuckers that hide behind a keyboard. And you wouldn't say half the shit you would in real life. We know you wouldn't. We know you wouldn't. I say this so you can see my face. You know my name. If I say something, you can come and give me receipts if you really want to. I'm not in anonymity. I'll say all kinds of crazy shit. I'm not a coward like you motherfuckers that use a crazy ass fake name and you don't have a picture up and nobody knows your address. Nobody knows where you live. Nobody knows that. Yeah, you can say a lot of things and be a big man when you're safe in anonymity. Yeah, you wouldn't say that shit to Fred in his face. You would not. I'm a fun guy saying, sorry, bro. But those guys that hated Fred did matter because they drove him out of town. And if we're better because of it, then they really matter. And I may thank them if it was for the better. Team matters. Nah, fuck that, fun guy. They didn't matter. They mattered, but they didn't. Like, seriously, stop feeding them power, fun guy. And I'm not going to thank them for this because this was not a good move. This is not what we wanted. Seriously, we wanted to keep Fred, but and they didn't drive him out. It's only because Houston could spend way more than we could match. And there's nothing other to it more than that. It's nothing to do with the fans. He loved Toronto. He would have stayed here if they had not added a third year and sweetened the deal in that kind of way. So let's not make it more than it is. He got a huge amount of money. He couldn't say no to it. That is it. End all be all, period. It has nothing to do with hating Toronto. It has nothing to do with not wanting to possibly stay here because he did want to, and we were working it out. This is Houston sweetened the deal, and it was an offer he could not refuse. And let's not give them more power. So I'm going to say that right now. They don't matter, and we can give them less and less of a reason not to matter. And the Raptors organization, if they're smart, they'll batten down the hatches. You're so tight-lipped with your own internal things that you're talking about. Well, let's educate your players on how to navigate the crazy ass choppy waters of social media. That's what y'all got to do, Bobby and Masai, is take a course, bring all your Raptors into a room and teach them how to navigate their social media better in a healthy way so that they don't have any of this kind of shit happening. And, you know, people like Mike and I and Monique and different people, we can go fight the good fight in the comment sections and see all that stuff. The players don't need to be in there with us. They really, really don't. M Jones is saying that, gee, understandable, but I'm sure Fred hasn't gone through what Siakam has gone through. You don't see it affecting him like that. It's also sports at the end of the day. This isn't a first time thing. It's a different thing though, because there's more of it. And like I said, if it seems like the majority of people that are vocal are negative, then it can really make you feel like it's most people are like that. And that's why I'm pleading with Raptors Nation to come out with love and more messages of support. And his leaving, so many people came out and said so many nice things to him. And hopefully that percentage will be like 97% compared to maybe a couple of troll ass, stupid ass fucking comments otherwise. That's what I'm saying. We got to overshadow the negative with positive so that it looks like we're the majority, because this is what Fred perceives, that he was the most hated. Well, that was a very minority kind of part of our fan nation. We need to make sure the majority that really feels a certain way speaks out on it. This is a very similar thing in politics. You could support a lot of different things like gay rights and different things like that, but if you never speak up about it and there's a very vocal negative part against it, they will get more attention because they're being heard. And that's what I'm saying. People need to be more vocalizing with their opinions. And especially if you have opinions that are positive and loving and nice things to say, because we need to drown out the negative noise. And that's on every subject, whether it's whatever. Most people have an opinion on LGBTQ rights. Most people have an opinion on this, but it doesn't affect them too much, so they don't say anything about it. Well, the people that really hate it, they say a lot. And then people start thinking, well, there's more of these people or something like that. No, the silent majority needs to speak up and start talking on subjects in all kinds of areas of things. And the Raptors fan nation is just a microcosm of that. That in real life, we need to do the same thing on big, important subjects that we care about, because if we stand by and we just shut up, we aren't heard. In some ways, the people that are having more power, they're taking more power as a smaller group because they're more loud. Does that make sense? I think that this is so an important thing on both sides, like in politics and with the Raptor situation. Let's see. MSJ saying also some fans are far too personal with these players in a sense that they think they know them, or they can project their misery as a person who can't play the game on the player. Weird and sad people. Well, some of it is that some people are just really tortured and twisted. There is mental health issues because of the pandemic. There's all kinds of weird stuff going on in the world right now. A lot of people are very pessimistic and they don't have a lot of hope because the world is kind of burning down right now. I get it. And people will act really out of pocket and crazy when they feel like there's nothing to lose because we're all going to hell anyway. And that's part of what's going on with the world in general. It's like nobody cares anymore because everything's all fucked up at this point. And what can we do? Like, what, you know, I get that. I totally get that. Well, we got to still try and be positive and do the right thing in these situations, even if there's every reason to not. Every reason to not. Yeah, the thing, you could maybe argue this about me, MSJ. My connection with Scott last year was very close because I spent like 200 hours on Twitch with him and talked to him a lot and directly, and he would talk to me. So in some ways, I could argue that I did actually get to know Scott, but I know that to an extent that's him on Twitch, and that's not totally him behind doors, and he's in some ways on stage on there. But and still, you do get to know people if you spend a lot of time with them. Now, I can argue that I could say, yeah, I feel like I personally know Scott in some ways, but I really don't in some ways. There's a whole side of him that's hidden from the public that we don't know. And he would even hide it on Twitch, I'm sure. So, yeah, I'm with you on this. As far as like projecting misery on other people, well, that's what miserable people do. That's what toxic people do. David's saying, man, oh man, I made the mistake of tuning into Pensair Live last night. I got to say, his fan base is fucking bonkers. More bonkers than I'd ever imagined. Was interesting to see old Raptor Freak in the chat. Yikes. So you saw some of our old people there. Yeah, who knows? You know, we see some, whatever. Either way, I don't care. You know, it's going to be what it is. And David, yeah, you went in there and tested the water. You saw just how fucked up it is there. See, the way they're reacting to the news this summer tells you all you need to know about them as Raptors people in the Raptors Nation. I don't even want to consider them in the Raptors Nation anymore. They're just toxic trolls online. Let's see. G saying, we don't know how much it affected Pascal. He did mention racism, etc. and gave examples. He did talk about it. He called them out in different way, different personalities. Yeah, see, that's fucked up. That's what I'm saying. Trolls can add in other elements with their anonymity, like racism, threats, all kinds of crazy shit. And there was some super bad racist stuff said to Pascal at that time. And in some ways, it's way worse than anything that was said to Fred. Seriously, they can say he's short and he's a chucker, but some of the things they were saying to Siakam, so vile and disgusting, seriously. And it did hurt him mentally, but he became stronger from it. He went into it and toughened himself up from it. He's a different person than he was after that bubble season when we lost to Celtics. He is a very different person. He's way more mentally tough. He's way more mentally stronger, and he's in a good place. And he understands how to set boundaries. And I'm proud of you, Pascal, for that. In fact, I know you're not online listening to any of that noise, and you shouldn't be. Seriously. Name was saying, I think for every degree average, the climate raises 16%, 16,000 species become extinct or some crap. Yeah, there's something about like the humidity and full humidity and a certain temperature where we won't be able to sweat and we will literally die from the heat. Like people don't understand that. Like in some ways up here in the north where we don't have a very good air conditioning overall, down south they do. They may do better than us because in some ways when there is a heat wave in northern North America, like one that very famously happened in Chicago years and years ago, so many people died when that temperature went up to a certain degree because a lot of people didn't have air conditioning in the city and there was nothing you could do. This is the kind of heat that you could jump in the water and be in the pool and you will still die from heat stroke. It doesn't matter if you get wet. It doesn't matter if you're getting the water. You still just die because life forms die at that degree of heat. And I don't think people realize that that is actually very realistic to happen in the next 50 years. That our temperatures have been rising steadily. This is going to be the hottest summer ever in history coming up right now. And that they're worried about this particular phenomena happening in this Midwest in the United States right now. There's a whole section that's around Arkansas, Missouri, Alabama, Tennessee, a little bit of Louisiana. That if the temperature goes up a certain place and people don't have air conditioning, they're going to just drop. They're going to drop, and there will be thousands of them. Seriously. And an event like that will really scare people and they will realize just how seriously dangerous this is. Now, in some ways, this shit has been happening already in parts of the world, but we don't care about those parts of the world. There can be a heat wave in somewhere on another continent and 1,000 people will die and we'll never hear about it on the news over here. And that's what I'm saying. This shit's already happening, but we're lucky on this part of the earth. But in other places where there's not as much money, not as much media attention, it's already fucking happening. So just so y'all know. Let's see. Cool Cat saying Fred also got on media saying young and dumb, cussed out social media folks, ignored and let fans fight amongst themselves. Pascal was racially abused and mocked over his dad's death. Now, I don't want to get into an argument on who was most hated. I get it. And yeah, sure, Fred probably did egg some of it on, and that may be part of the hate got worse. I know that, listen, if you go to his Instagram page, you'll see the picture of him from the championship. You can't really see the Raptors logo on anymore. He's got champagne throwing all over himself. Well, go look at the comment section on that post. It's all angry Spurs fans because around our championship, Fred made an off-cuff remark about Popovich. And Spurs fans got really pissed, and you can see the hate on there. I don't know if he's calculated putting this post on pinned at the top of his Instagram page because Houston and San Antonio have a real rivalry. Like the Spurs and the Rockets are a real rivalry. And in some ways, he's putting shots fired on Spurs Nation because he's incoming as a Rocket. So he's like, yeah, there's already an animosity towards Fred in Texas from Spurs Nation for saying an off-the-cuff remark about Greg Popovich after our championship. So that's an interesting part of this. Yeah, Fred will say some things. That's part of who he is. He's outspoken, and that does rub people the wrong way. And if he says people are young and dumb, well, there you go. There you go. Yeah, I may be rubbing those people the wrong way just like that on this channel because I said the same combination of words. But maybe I should just say dumb and immature and not necessarily young. Nako's saying Fred probably did want to come back, but there's probably a level of pride that comes with that money. Listen, it's signaled by Clutch and Rich Paul's account saying when you get a certain amount of money, you just don't say no. I think Rich Paul literally texted that this weekend, like in reference to Jeremy Grant and Fred VanVleet. It's like, seriously, you put that money in front of him, he may never see that kind of offer for that amount of money ever in the rest of his life. You have to say yes. He can't say no to the money. He's Cuba Gooding Jr. Show me the money. They showed him the money. He had to go with it. There's no other way around it. He would have probably preferred to stay in the situation in Toronto as the team and the makeup and the things that were happening here over what was going on in Houston. But you see how much they changed real quick after they got Fred, a cavalcade of getting more vets around because they realized they didn't want Fred to be on an island by himself with all really young players. So go get Dylan Brooks, go get Jeff Green, make some moves that bring back more of a veteran core on the Houston Rockets. That was very calculated with Fred coming in. So fun guy saying Pascal Siakam went through far more hate for years. I feel for that Pascal, not Fred, because Fred merely cracked the Pascal's hate. By the way, Pascal hate was undeserving. Fred hated on players. Yeah, I mean, once again, we don't need to talk about who deserved what or who had more hate and stuff like that. It's all in the past and it doesn't really matter. And once again, this isn't a conversation that really serves anything of good in some ways. It's not a competition. Let's just put it. MSJ saying it's best to focus on the team and the players on it today. Yes, there you go. That's the right way to look. We got to stay present and move forward with what we got. At Logical Raptors Fanatic, yeah, it could be true, but I don't care about players' personals, anything. Why should it? Following them, laugh out loud. Why? Yeah, I mean, I kind of understand what you're saying, but Wayne's saying, try feeling a sports player's pain in 10 years when they have joints and that ache, fingers that are forever closed, toes that may have to be amputated. These people are gross. It's just sheer envy. Yeah, I don't even know if it's that. I think once again, it's immaturity. People that are just like, these people may need to be knocked down a peg in their own lives and humbled. They may need to be humbled themselves in their own lives and have to deal with something. If you have to deal with a loved one that's not well, you have to deal with an adversity. Like this is one thing that people don't understand in this world. And I'm going to do a real PSA for people that have, they're not ableists. Listen, everybody who feels like, you're so strong and so powerful, one of the groups in this world that you probably should be like advocating for and be for is the disabled group. Because this is the one thing I will say is that every single one of us that are here watching the stream right now have the ability to possibly join that group at any moment. And that sometimes, the humbling of life and taking something away from you can make you have a more clear vision on what life is all about and what is important. And that's why I advocate in a lot of ways, not only just because I have friends that are disabled, but also that, I'm serious. Every single one of us could have something horrible happen to us at any given time, and we would join that group. So if you don't think that disabled rights or activism for disabled people is important, well, think about it selfishly. You could join that group at any moment. So I just got to say that real quick, seriously. And that's the thing. Some of these people are young and I won't say young. They're immature and they haven't had anything really bad happen to them. Well, that's what I'm saying. They may need to learn some tough lessons at some point in their life, and they'll realize just how wrong and stupid they were when they were younger. And that's what I'll say about that right there. Mike's saying, MSJ, not gonna lie, I feel it's been debunked. Jalen Green and Scotty are very tight. If Fred being a mentor was an issue, Jalen would have made an issue known to the Rockets. Fred's IQ is his power, not athleticism. Yeah, I want to be very interested to see, because in some ways it may be more out in the open because the way Houston is, whether Fred and Jalen get along. In some ways, Jalen's a more extreme young version of Scotty. And it could very well be his immaturity may very much rub Fred the wrong way. And if there are signals of that, then maybe I will give some more fodder to the idea that Scotty and Freddie didn't mix well together because of that personality thing. So we know Jalen Green is a best friend of Scott, and they very much are, they pal around and they're kind of a similar person. Not exactly the same person, but in some ways they're similar. And we'll have to see how they get along, Green and VanVleet. In the upcoming season, because it could tell us a lot about some things about Fred and Scotty from before. I really do feel like Scotty and Fred do love each other, and they did really find it very enjoyable to play with each other the last couple of years. Fred is on the record for saying that he knows Scotty's special, that he's very much likes playing with him, and then he knows he's going to be a great player someday, an even better player. Fred's, to Scotty is somebody he's looked up to. I watched clips of Fred with Scott last summer, and he just had good things to say about Fred. In fact, we watched the highlights, he would say, "Go, Freddie, go and hit that shot, Freddie. Yeah, Freddie, hit that shot." He was celebrating Fred just as much as he celebrated Gary, Precious, Pascal, the whole rest of the team. Because Scott's a team player. He doesn't have feuds with teammates like some people wanted us to believe last season. It's just not true. It's not true at all. Scotty's an ultimate team player. In fact, he would be pissed at people for telling people that he has problems with his teammates because that's very important to him. If these people that say they love Scott so much and they really know him, well, they should know that he's the ultimate team player and that he doesn't have beefs with his teammates like y'all think he did. He really doesn't. All right, let's keep going. MSJ saying, I look forward to Dennis playing point guard. Dick shooting the three, finally a pure shooter. Pascal being an all-star, and most of all, Barnes and OG taking a leap. Even Koloko and Doughton improving. Going to be fun. There you go. MSJ looking forward with what we got and the fruits of possible great things happening coming up. I love all of what you're saying there, MSJ, and this is the right way for Raptors Nation to be right now. Let's stay looking forward. Forget about the past. Forget about who's left. We got a new crew, and let's go see what they're going to do. I'm all about that. Nako's saying pretty much sure both Scotty and OG follow Goran, higher ambition, Dragic. Dame's real good, and he's right to want out. I have a hard time seeing Dame is worth it. All right, Nako. I'm going to say this because I know Nako very well personally, and I've been around him for years. I've known him for almost 10 years, and he is a good friend of mine. And I know Nako. I know Nako. I know how old he is. I know how long he's been following the Raptors. And I'm just going to say this, and unfortunately, I'm going to give an example of what I've been talking about today. Once again, I don't give a shit who's following who. I know that Scotty bonded with Goran. We know OG follows Wancho. He follows Goran. He follows a lot of people, and he like comments on everybody's stuff. I've seen him, not comments, but he likes a lot of different people's stuff. Once again, I know that friendship that Goran has with Scotty may be different for some reason. You got to remember, Scotty grew up in Miami, around Miami, and he's seen Goran Dragic on the local TV for the Heat games when he was a kid, when he was there for a long, long time. So in some ways, it was a weird dream of his to come and play with a player that he saw on TV all the time in his market. So I get why he's friends with Goran still. But once again, I'm totally not into this putting connections between who's following who and who isn't. That stuff shouldn't matter. You guys can go be Sherlock Holmes and try and keep track of who's following who and really up to date, have a live 24/7 tracker of who's following who. I don't give a shit about any of that. In fact, it's annoying when y'all bring it up. It really is, because in some ways it doesn't serve anything. It's just, it doesn't necessarily mean what you think either. So I really don't want to talk about who's following who anymore. And then the other thing is, you're saying Dame's real good and he's right to want out. That's questionable in some ways. All right, listen, the thing about Dame is he's played this whole I'm loyal to Portland thing so long that now it's really ugly. And the fans are turning on him in Portland right now. They really are. And it's gross. In some ways, there's a toxicness that happened with Fred that's happening right now with Lillard. And he's pissed off. And in some ways, that's part of why he's demanding a trade, because he's seeing the Trailblazers fan nation turn on him right now. Now, I get it. He's been loyal to them for a long time, but in some ways, he's going about things the wrong way right now. And the fact that he really told Trailblazers Nation that he was real one, he'd be there for them forever, and now he's changed his tune, that's fucked up in some ways. So in some ways, I don't agree with what he's doing and how he's doing it, because in some ways, he's ruining this great reputation he built up for years and years and years of his loyalty to Portland. So I'm going to disagree with you right there. Dame is really good. But you know what? He's confusing everybody. Last summer, he said, I don't care if I win a championship or not. That's not going to define my career. There's so much more to play in the NBA. Well, you're full of shit, because now you're acting like it does matter. So he's being wishy-washy. He's saying he's going to be loyal, but then he's not going to be loyal. He says he doesn't want to be traded. Now he wants to be traded. He's being too flip-floppy. And in some ways, I get why Portland fans are frustrated with him right now. I totally get it right now. So I'm going to disagree with you right now on that. We'll have to see what happens. Nameless is saying, your cost is Pascal, and I ain't doing it. Hope your whole house Burns down, Portland. Love the six. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know how they're going to do it. Like, exactly. If they are going to try and land Lillard here, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure probably either Siakam or Anunoby would be involved in that trade. That would probably be definite. But we'll see. We'll see. Once again, I got to trust Bobby Masai, rely on Masai, and he will make the right decision depending on what comes in front of him. And hopefully it's, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I don't necessarily want them to do a deal. But then again, if they do a deal, I may not be upset either. Cool Cat saying, I'll let the front office do their job. They're skilled at doing their job. Yeah, I'm with you on that, Cool Cat, for sure. G saying in Fred's Instagram under his event photos, Scotty, Delano, Champagny, Precious, OG, Pascal, Gasol all liked his photos. Current and former teammates, Terrence, Colin, and my vet. That's right. See, the perception of Fred and how the other players look at him is completely wrong with the toxic side. These guys love Fred, and they really do champion his whole story. Like, his story is incredible, and honestly, it deserves way more honor than the dishonor that some people have been giving it. Mike saying over 29 million trade rules are still in place, so we need 75% of Dame salary and outgoing salary, which is 45 million on 60 mil. So we would need to deal a bunch of guys to even get to that 45 million number. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, so it would be kind of like, all right, so it would be 45 million on 60 million. So it would be basically, we'd have to do something like Pascal and OG or something, or Pascal and Gary. That was the price for Dame Lillard right now, is Pascal for sure. Pascal, because he's the biggest chunk of money, and then like a $15 million player also, somewhere around that. And that, maybe it is Pascal and Chris would line up exactly right to get Lillard. I don't think I'd make that deal, though. In some ways, I think I would not make that deal because I don't know if that makes us better. Seriously, losing those two guys to get Lillard, I don't think it is. Cooket's saying there's a lot of motives to destroy the Raptors. They want Masai. They want all of our best players. They want us to be a bottom feeder team. Ignore social media. Hockey wants us destroyed. The NBA wants us destroyed. There's a lot of forces out there. We're in some ways a marked man. Stephen Colbert used to do his list on the Colbert Report way back, and the Raptors were like one of the top hit lists in the world. It was like Bears and the Toronto Raptors, and he was making light of this, but in some ways he was very much aware of some proclivities to be against the Raptors being the only Canadian NBA team. And Stephen Colbert was exactly right when he put like on his list, his hit list, Bears and the Toronto Raptors on there. He was making a mockery of something that's very real. And in some ways, he was exactly right when he used to do those sketches. You can go watch old Colbert Report with Stephen Colbert before he took his CBS late night show. And he would talk about us, our team, in this kind of way. And it's very interesting that he did back then. We have enemies. There are people that want to destroy the Raptors. And they're here in Toronto, and they have to do with hockey. They very much do. Let's see. Monique saying those people who think we're going to be bad need to slap in the face. All right, Monique, I'm giving you a dunk for that one because honestly, I agree with you. And if I knew their names, if y'all could give me a list, I'll go there. With me and Fun Guy, we'll get in the car and we'll drive around Toronto and we'll go see these people, their dresses. I need the big guy with me. I'll bring the Fun Guy with me and we'll just go say, hey, yeah, I see what you said here. Yeah, you thought you were anonymous. We know where you live. We just be like, yeah, you still feel this way, huh? You feel this way still? Oh, yeah, maybe you could be a little nicer. A little hurt some people's feelings so much. We don't want to. Oh, no, yeah, we can make a visit real quick. Yeah, that's part of what I used to do for, well, I won't say this. I won't talk about this right now. Anyway, you see, I'm pretty good at it. All right, let's keep going. Diane Hart saying, good morning, Alexi and crew. Although I'm sad to see Fred go, this change might be good for the team. We will get to see Scotty and the other young players grow in the game. Yeah, let's go Raps. I'm all with you, Diane Hart, and I agree with you. I really do feel like the opportunity becomes from changes, and opportunity is definitely there in this situation. This is a huge part of our team the last few years, huge part of minutes, huge part of shots, huge part of leadership. And these voids will need to be stepped into and filled by current guys that are on our team. So let's see who's going to take those opportunities and expand their roles with our team. And that is exciting. I'm totally with you. And this is the right way to think. Tristan saying, W, Fred, thanks for everything. Wish him only success. W to Tristan Phipps for having the right attitude and the right way of looking at Fred's departure. Thank you, Tristan. Cool Cat saying, Kyle always emphasizes getting the bag. Well, he's very proud of Fred then. He may have done better at getting the bag than any of them. Kyle's like, damn, you beat me, Fred. You got the bag bigger than me at this point. Holy crap. He probably is like that. Raps Love saying TikTok Raptor fans. TikTok. What do you mean TikTok Raptor fans? What are you talking about, TikTok? Are you our friend or not, Raps Love? Do we need to go get Sixers love over there? Canadian Cowboys saying, good morning, Lex and Raptor Freaks. Man, good to see you, Bradley. Mike saying, USA downgrades your guys with never blasting the good things. Our own media is into that the rumor mill and playing up things, and fans took the blame and certain people for teams' losses. We need to be fair. This is true in some ways. All right, they do definitely downgrade our guys, and then the media here wants to cause all kinds of like confusion and sadness, and maybe turn off fans from watching. I called out Josh Lewenberg to his face on Twitter yesterday. I said, "Are you in cahoots with TSN, the hockey network, to hurt the perception and image of the Raptors so that hockey revenue goes up, so that people switch off the basketball to go back to hockey? Is this what you're trying to do, Josh Lewenberg?" I asked him straight up, because some of the articles and the things that Doug Smith and Josh Lewenberg and different people around the Raptors, Michael Grange, Eric Kareen, Samson Falk, Oren Weisfeld is very negative right now, and it's very much disappointing me. In fact, Oren Weisfeld's pissing me off. He's being over dramatic and overreacting to everything way too much online this weekend. And stop, seriously, Warren, because I really thought you were one of the good ones. But right now, I'm a little worried about you and the way you're acting. That's what I'm saying. It's true. The press has a big part in part of the problem here in Toronto. They're used to covering hockey a certain way. And it just, once again, hockey people don't tell us how to run our front office. And hockey media don't try and cover the Raptors the way that you cover the Leafs and the rest of the NHL. Just get the fuck away from it. It's so toxic. It's so tabloid. It's unnecessary. I hate y'all for it. I want more feel-good stories. I want more things about the players and their backgrounds. I want more talk about like their accomplishments and their achievements, and less cynicism and negativity and point out all the warts about the team and this and that and this. Why can't we get a feel-good story about this? Now, why can't Michael Grange or Eric Kareen write an article about how this is an opportunity, just like what Leslie and Diane and other people have said in here, for other people to step up and take opportunity and talk about that and speculate on who's going to do that, instead of talking about every kind of negative aspect of the whole situation with the Raptors right now? Where's the positive media stuff? Other teams have fluff writer people around their organizations. There's all kinds of glowing, amazing pieces written about Victor in San Antonio world right now. The Rockets Nation is going to start writing all this amazing stuff about Fred now because he's there, and they really honor and cherish that he's with them there all of a sudden. Meanwhile, we're talking our guys down and fucking talking about how they're all going to get traded and all kinds of bullshit. Mike's exactly right. The media people have a hand in this bullshit too. And U.S., and we know what they're going to do, obviously. Space Cadet saying, he who shall not be named throwing a celebration stream when Fred left. Now I see he's engaging people on Twitter. I don't believe in hating anybody, but this guy makes it hard not to. Yeah, that's messed up. See, that tells you all you need to know. Most real Raptor fans are in mourning and sad about Fred leaving. Well, that shows he's not a Raptors fan. That just shows. And anybody who's buying into him and are following him in this kind of way, you're not a Raptors fan. If you're going and becoming a Panserite, you're fucked. Seriously, just go on and fuck off. Seriously, because he's not a good force or a good leader to listen to. Trust me, he just isn't. And he threw a celebration stream this weekend. That is messed up. Seriously, that's not a fan. That is a fucking troll. And somebody who's really awful. Like somebody I'm talking about, like what I'm talking about today. He's the epitome of it. G saying, I'm sure the players can handle the criticism towards themselves. Where these fans are crossing the line is going after the loved ones, in particular partners. Yes, that's for sure. That is for sure. And we've seen that. I've seen Robert specifically attack Fred's family in episodes. I've seen the interaction is fucked up. Quick has saying, seems some Laker fans toxicity, some Warriors toxicity, some Westbrook toxicity. See some KD. Now some are calling Kawhi to retire. Don't engage social media. Don't go on the public square. Yeah. It's not totally just us. It's in every fan nation. Sixers Nation has problems. Boston Nation has problems. Every nation has problems. New York, by far, has a very toxic, crazy, overzealous fan base that's way overanalyzing things and way too vocal in negative ways, for sure. So this, in some ways, we can get caught up and think it's just us, but it really is everywhere. And that's why, Mike, I caution you to say we need to worry about this. Well, the same shit's everywhere. Houston's nation's got toxic people just as much. And Fred may find that out. And he may find out that they're worse in some ways than us. That's the thing. Nick's going to find out Sixers nation's worse than us. He may feel like we were fascinating. Well, he may find a real new fascination street in Philadelphia with what's going to go happen with him, with the press and the fans there. Trust me, they're going to turn on him at some point, and he's going to get it even worse than he got it here from Philly Nation. Watch. Wayne's saying, I personally don't care for a lot of these new people to sports. Like a team, support a team on the pitch, leave players, compensation and their families out of it. Players acting like Morant is different. Yeah, it's all individual cases and case by case basis. You can't just say you want to treat everybody this way. I'm with Wayne. I mean, listen, if I could really like cut out social media, I will. And I have. I've cut it down even more and more. I'm realizing that, like I said, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram are all trash sites at this point. Their algorithms, the way they used to be, is gone. The heyday of Facebook is gone. It's a garbage product at this point. It's getting worse and worse. It's getting more tailored about the money and shaping your opinions by forcing you to see things on your feed. And then Twitter, it's Elon's playground to have a right-wing echo chamber of racism and fucked up conspiracy theories going all over the place. Well, of course they're going to do it in sports too, and allow all kinds of racist, messed up kind of comments and stuff. I reported a Twitter account on Twitter this week that had the old meme about Pascal Siakam, the racist one from the bubble, talking about how he needs to go back to Africa and calling him, yeah, the thing that we're saying. There's a guy who had it as his banner, and he said he was a Raptors fan. He identified as a Raptors fan. It said Raptors fan. And then on his banner, on his Twitter profile page, it was the comment about Pascal needs to go back to Africa and get in the jungle. Yeah. And you tell me there's not fake Raptor fans out there that are very much trolls and they're fucked up and racist like this guy was. I reported him. I hope they fucking kick his ass off Twitter, but it's Elon's world. He loves racism. He's a racist himself. He's letting it allow and thrive on his social media platform, so it's crazy. It's so crazy. Let's see. M Jones is saying, after all is I said, I do believe that the fan base has changed, especially since we got the championship. As still a young, this could be a case of getting something too soon, being the championship. Yeah, I don't think it's the fact that we got the championship does have a factor in it, but it shouldn't be blamed for this. It should just be, I think we're in a weird period of history in the world, just like the Wild West out in America. This is the Wild West of the internet. And we're living in it right now. And some of this stuff is going to get sorted out over time, or it won't, or we'll just get used to it and understand how to navigate it better. But it's new, it's fresh, and it's really like over encompassing and like hard to like deal with in certain ways. There's just too much noise and too much avenues for people to just have opinions that are just fucked up, and they get audiences. So it's a new world, and we just got to adjust to it and figure out how to change it. And it's like, in some ways we can control what we can control. And that's what we see and look at. That's all we can control. We can't control if people are going to go do it and this is going to happen. We can just control what we do in reaction to it. We just don't have to give it attention if we can. Iceman's here. Good to see Iceman. Like Gervin, I hope the Fred VanVleet deal can turn into a sign and trade with Raps getting someone like Kevin Porter Jr. KP Jr. isn't going to be happy coming off the bench in Houston. Malik Beasley is a free agent target for the backup shooting guard spot. Well, I've already heard that KP Jr. is already on the move, isn't he? Wasn't that who got traded? Somebody got traded out west already, and I think they went to Sacramento. I think KP Jr. is already on Sacramento. He's left Houston. He's not going to be on their team this year. So, or was that Kenyon Martin Jr.? I'm not sure. One of the juniors is gone. And maybe two different players. I'm getting confused. I know there's a couple youngsters down there. I don't know if this is a sign and trade. I know the Dylan Brooks deal with them is a sign and trade with Memphis, but I'm hearing that the one with us is not going to be a sign and trade. And that's part of the reason why Orrin Weisfeld had a whole fucking conniption this weekend. It was like, how can they get a sign and trade and we can't for Fred? Oh my gosh. I don't think it's going to happen. It's not in Houston's best interest. And they don't have to, and why they may not want to help us in this situation at all. So I would love a sign and trade at some point, so we could make something happen with Fred, because this officially could happen still. This is not totally official what's happened with this. And there may be some sort of way of finagling into a sign and trade with the Fred deal. But there's all signs that that's not going to happen because Houston's not interested. And but I would love for that somehow to happen some way, Bobby Webster. But don't hold your breath on it, Iceman. I don't think it is. Leslie saying we need the Kawhi plant guy for our planet and for love. Yeah, where is Kawhi plant guy? We need him back. He's a good, positive Raptors freak. We need more people like him, more people like Monique, more people like Nav Bhatia, more people like all of y'all who are here with me today. The good, positive Raptors fans and not the toxic bullshit noise out there. It's so crazy how bad it is these days. All right, I'm scrolling back to get back to the right place in here. She put a plan up so I could find it because there's a plant on there. There's a plant on there somewhere. There it is. Okay, Smooth's here. Good to see Smooth. The only trade I see happening for the Raptors is to improve the team in a different way is OG. I can't see them moving Pascal. I still see more of a ceiling for him. You know, one of the points that some people are making, learned journalists in our fan nation, I think Samson or maybe Oren, one of those guys, or maybe Grange. I'm not sure who said it exactly. They're saying that Siakam's value has gone down because Fred's gone. Because in some ways, Fred actually helped Siakam be who Siakam is. They're expecting Siakam to not be as good next year with Fred gone, which is very intriguing to me. This is some of the media types that are saying this. Now, they may be trying to paint more like negativity to turn people off from watching the Raptors this year than turn on hockey. But that's something people are saying right now. I don't know. I don't want them to, once again, I don't want them to move Pascal or OG if we can get away with not having to do that. Name is saying apologies to all those streaming from their Nana's basement in Vaughn. Maybe I should stop saying basement people. All right, attic people. It's just the motherfuckers in the attic in Thornhill that is causing all these problems. Yeah, I know you're up in your aunt's attic in Thornhill, motherfucker. Yeah. All right, apologies to them too. Cool Cat saying Raptors and the NBA do help players manage social media. They shut down Scotty's Twitch public presence. Fred VanVleet have to learn to manage social media, stay off it. He's falling to the game. I think they do to an extent, but they may need to double down and make this even more clear. And they may need to extend it to not just the players, but their family. Like Shanika doesn't need to be on there with them like that. I just doesn't, I get it. She argues with people about mask stuff all the time. And I get that argument. And of course, she's going to want to argue for people for Thaddeus on his behalf. But we got to stop acknowledging the trolls and them and giving them attention. That's the biggest thing that feeds them. They go away if you don't give them any attention. Let's see. Yeah, and Fred, I don't know. He shouldn't have been. I don't think they shut down Scotty's Twitch. Scotty shut down his Twitch. I remember the last time he twitched. He said, "I'm not doing this anymore." He said it at the end himself. He said, "You guys aren't going to see me on Twitch anymore." And I wanted to not believe him. I was like hoping he would still come back, but he has not come back since he said that. And it was the day we were watching Aiden Ross play Flight on some clip. They were playing pickup basketball and they sucked so bad. And every single person in the comments was trolling his friends. That's the thing. He considers Aiden Ross and Flight his friends because he interacts with them and they're from the same part of Florida. And when people were dissing them so badly in there, he got really upset with their negativity. And at some point he said, y'all are not going to see me on here ever again. So it wasn't the Raptors who told him not to do Twitch anymore. He chose not to, and he walked away from it. And it was very much because we were trolling him about it. I did myself. I told him, I said, this is what I said specifically to Scott that day. I said, Scotty, you're watching such bad basketball right now. You're going to need a palate cleanser. You're going to need to go watch good basketball after this, like good basketball highlights. Because I was hoping he wouldn't watch them because I thought it was a waste of time. But he wanted to react to them being on the court and stuff. And it went so badly. Every single person in his comments made fun of Flight and Aiden Ross or whatever his fucking name is, that idiot. And just made fun of them. It was all overwhelmingly negative, and that negativity overwhelmed Scott in that moment. He said, I'm never going to be on Twitch. I'm done with Twitch. He said, you won't see me on here again. That's specifically what he said. You all are not going to see me on here. And then he very soon after that shut off and never came back. And that was sometime in October last year. sometime in October of last year. Let's see. Kareem saying, I want Fred to come to Toronto and fucking torch us only because of our ignorant fans. I don't necessarily want that. I don't necessarily want that. I really don't. I don't think he needs to get back at us for those fans. It's not really our fault. We get punished for it too, Kareem, and it's not our fault. He's gonna want to play up against us for sure. But I don't know how good he'll do against us. I'm not worried about Fred coming back after us. I'm really not. For some reason, I'm just not. And especially because he's on Houston. I think we're going to kick their ass both games we play them this year. We better. I want to. I want to beat Philly and Houston very specifically this year. Cowboys got the face up. I know what face that is. It's such a fucking chump. Yeah. That face symbolizes that other channel. And that is the official face of He Shall Not Be Named. And he is such a fucking chump. You're exactly right, Cowboy. Infamous is saying, salute, freaks. It's sad how he was ran out of town with torches and pitchforks. Fred's career should be a Hollywood movie. It should be. And it could be one day. It could be a very good Hollywood movie. And I hope that they don't add this part that just happened into the movie or even acknowledge these people once again. Once again, Fred, why did you have to put that part in there? You could have just stayed on the positive tip and acknowledged your positive fans because you have way more of them than you do of the negative fans. And I hate that you acknowledge the haters when you're on your way out. That's a miscalculation. Once again, Clutch is miscalculating on their PR messaging. In some ways, they really are right now. They messed up with Nick. And I think in some ways, they messed up with Fred yesterday. Fred, if you made that message yourself, you really fucked up in some ways because you gave power to people that partly caused you to leave. I'm not going to say that they caused them to leave like fully. And I don't like you describing it as we ran them out of town with torches and pitchforks. That's messed up. That's messed up. Let's not give them that much power. Once again, we can't say that they were successful in this. This is a situation where Fred got a huge bag, and that's the only reason why he left. Blackhawk saying, big up, Lex and the Raptor Freaks. Fred VanVleet called out the negativity during the Raptors championship parade. Fred VanVleet's farewell is not surprising. The fan base is vapid for a good while now. Yeah. Monique saying, good to the point interview, Lex. Thanks, Monique. I'm glad you checked that out. Y'all, I appeared on To The Point this weekend, 2.0. The Point, just like OG's name. And I hope you'll go give it a view and a subscription to the King's channel, a great Raptors channel. And hopefully, thanks for watching it. And I'm glad you enjoyed it. That's awesome. Wayne saying, we love Fred VanVleet, and I'm happy he got the bag. We got the best of him. Pascal is our treasure and our best player. He is untouchable, not entertaining any trade yap or any negativity. I'm with you on that. I'm totally with you on that. G saying, if Scotty plays point guard, there is no Fred or Nurse to blame now for any limitations. This actually exposes him more and adds pressure. He will go through growing pains, so hope the fans allow it. Well, that's part of the problem is the toxic side of Raptors Nation. It doesn't allow for failure or any kind of not doing everything exactly perfect. And that's the problem. These people do not understand that there is imperfection in perfect basketball, that you can't be absolutely perfect. Sure, some nights you can have no turnover night, but you're going to miss shots. Some nights you may not miss shots, but that's very rare. But being absolutely perfect on the basketball court is never going to be good enough for these people. In some ways, they're just going to look for the next thing to be negative about, and it could be just the slightest, stupidest thing that doesn't even fucking matter. So, yeah, I'm about this on this. If Scotty's going to be our point guard this year, y'all need to allow him to have a learning curve and make mistakes. Now, if the same people that praised Scotty so much and loved him so much last year and hated Fred come after Scott for growing pains this year, we will know that they are not good people involved in our fan nation. These are people that are not that are real fans. They're just people looking to be critical and to attack people that are in the public eye. And that's really what a lot of this is. So Tom Duke saying, oh, he's got the link from me on To The Point. So if y'all want to watch it, Tom's put it in the comments right there. So if y'all are interested in seeing my appearance on To The Point, there's a link. Cool Cat saying social media calling for Masai to be fired too, calling for Bobby to be fired. Guess what? They don't respond to it. Public figures understand the negative side of things. Yeah, but in some ways, it's stupid. I hate that they want to burn us completely to the ground. It's like if this is a barn, they burned 2 of the walls off the barn, and now they're trying to get the other 2 walls, Siakam in the front office. And that's what I hate. It's so destructive and it's so wrong. And these people will never be satisfied. They want to destroy us all the way to being Purple Dinosaur 96 Raptors. Seriously. If they can have their way like that, they want to kill the popularity of the sport in Canada. They want the revenue to go to hockey because the Raptors aren't that good. They figure, well, they're people. The Leafs made the playoffs. And they got past the first round. This is the time to strike. Let's really kick the Raptors while they're down. And if any families in the GTA are looking at either getting Raptors or Leaf tickets, they may be more likely to go to Leaf games and support the Leafs over the Raptors. There's a lot of this going on right now. So stay strong and stay true to your Raptors team. And don't get turned off by the forces out there telling you to be negative and not be supportive towards the Raptors because they're a failure or this is this. I really hope that none of this gets any steam about Masai and Bobby. And that's why I'm very proactively going on a hard campaign to support them and talk about all their successes while other people are coming out with their failures. And I seriously have no patience for anyone who's saying we need to fire the front office. They are so misguidedly wrong. Seriously, very, very much. Let's see. Soldier is here. Good to see Soldier. It's been a little bit. Raptor Freak Soldier. I remember you from before, and I'm glad to see you pop in again. You're right, man. Good morning, y'all. Thank you, Soldier. I appreciate it. Nameless is saying, bro, if you haven't seen Old White Men Can't Jump Around in Short Shorts, I won't listen to you. If you haven't seen John Stockton in those short ass shorts that he wore when he played for the Utah Jazz, I won't listen to you. I know there's a dumb meme that people are saying they won't listen to anybody who was born before 1980 and nobody was born after 2000. Let's stop being closed minded. I will listen to young people. There's a lot of astute young people that know what they're talking about. I will always give the opportunity for people to espouse their opinions. It's just after they do it, whether I want to listen to them or not. And just like turning people off or not listening to people just because of an age bracket is kind of ridiculous, honestly. In some ways, it's very ridiculous. And in some ways, I see that the younger generations are being like that. I know that it's always been like that to a degree. It's always been that way. But in some ways, because of social media, once again, and everybody out there mixing together all at once, there's like millennial this, boomer that, this, that, blah, blah, blah. It's so stupid and it's so dumb. If you're a smart person, you realize that every single person in this world, whatever age, it could be just born yesterday to being a 101-year-old grandmother, mine out in Scarborough right now, they all have a lesson and something for you to learn from them. You can perceive them as somebody who's not as intelligent as you. They still have a lesson for you. And if you are paying attention and wise enough, you'll glean the lesson from them. So every single person has something they could teach you. It's just that you don't know what it is. And, you should value that. If you want to be more smart and you want to be more educated as you live in your life, you should listen to everybody around you. I'll listen to a 3-year-old kid babble some crazy nonsense. Sometimes there's a truth in it. Just as much as I want to listen to somebody in their 60s talk about things that they know from their life experience. You want to be smarter, listen to people, and don't be so arrogant you think you know everything. That's a big problem with some of the young people. Is they're so arrogant they think they know everything. Y'all don't actually know everything. You just can Google to find it. There's a difference between learning things and just having access to the information, and that's the difference right there. Let's keep going. Sheer Constant. Good morning, Raptor Freak family. The trade that's out there for Dame is OG plus Thad, Boucher, and Flynn. 3 first-rounders and a pick swap. Raps would have to take off the protection on the San Antonio pick. I think this is too much for Dame. I agree. That's a non-starter. And Bobby is smart. He won't take that deal. He won't. Infamous is saying, I'm disheartened being a fan from watching the first game in person to how toxic the fan base has become. You know what? I think it's not even a symptom of our fan nation. It's a symptom of society in general. I think that social media is just toxic in general. And we have our particular subject, Toronto Raptors basketball. And it's just this way. I think that if you go into any kind of subject and any kind of thing, you're going to find a level of toxicity no matter what. And this is just the new world we live in with the garbage dump that social media is. And I don't know if we can actually say that this is a particular thing just to the Raptors and our fan nation, because it's probably been seen all over the NBA and all other sports and all other kind of places. Racists are more emboldened in the anonymity of social media. So there's more racism out there. So there's more trolling. There's more negativity. There's more out-of-pocket people stirring things up because they can get away with it because there's no repercussions. And that's part of the problem. Maybe there should be some repercussions for certain things. The internet, like I said, isn't Wild West. Well, what happened in years recently was revenge porn. You guys know about this? where somebody breaks up with somebody and they start posting the naked pictures and footage of their ex to get back at them. Well, they outlawed it. They made laws about it. They changed things. Well, that's what's going to happen in some ways with things on the internet, is that there's going to be regulation coming at certain points, because there's going to be so many lies out there and so many people following lies in harmful, hurtful ways, that they're going to have to be more responsible with making laws about social media. So there will be a rightening of it. Revenge porn had its whole thing where it's like, we got to legislate that if somebody does this, if some guy takes his girlfriend's pictures and puts them all over the internet in retribution for getting broken up with, that he can go to jail. Well, that's what I'm saying, that this is the stuff that's going to have to be regulated over time. That's why it's a wild west. There's certain things that are going on with social media right now that may not be all right in 10 years from now, because legislation has changed and how they deal with it. So we'll have to see. In some ways, I don't like the powers that be coming down on telling people what they can and can't do. But in some ways, where's that balance with regulating things that are destructive and harmful for society with free speech? Because there is that kind of a battle in some ways on the internet, as far as like, you want free speech, Elon. Well, you're giving a platform to white supremacists. And, there has to be a balance somewhere in there. There really does. MSJ said, I remember the Bargnani years. Oh, my God. Were those years terrible basketball, but kind of fun? I used to watch other teams play us and really got to know the NBA that way. Loving basketball is the point. I'm with you. People don't understand the other eras if they weren't really invested and around in those times. We are in a good era still right now. But if y'all want to continue to pull at it, you might destroy it still even further. Trevor's saying, and brother, for anyone who would want to join your channel, you should put him through an interview like a job to see if they qualify our interview like a job to see the qualifier. Listen, we allow people to come in here and they comment, and that's their interview right there, Trevor. It's like, I can tell if somebody's a good, positive person in the Raptors Nation or not by what they do when they come in here. It's very easy to figure it out right away. So Logical saying, it was us against the world, but now it's us against ourselves. And that's the part I don't like. Yeah, I know. I like that. I don't like that either, Mike. I don't like the situation we're in. We do have the odds against us. As I said yesterday, we're Little Mac in the Mike Tyson's Punch-Out game. And there's a lot of odds against us, but we can make it. And there's a possibility to still get more championships with this team. I believe in Masai, and I think we can do it. That's why people don't want him there, because they know he's the one driving force that's pushing us towards the next Larry O'Brien. And that's why they want him out next, is that they know that he's one of the best people in our organization that is working towards that. He's the inertia. Well, if we get a front office guy who comes in and he doesn't care as much, and he's kind of like working with MLC to cut costs, and then we do like what the Leafs did from decades, just taking our money but not actually competing, I'll be pissed off. Because Masai Ujiri, I trust that he really does want to win championships. And the next guy coming in, he may not be capable enough, or he may not have the gumption or the drive to, and then we're definitely not going to win any championships. Think about it from that perspective, Raptor fans. If you really want to win a championship, you have to have a good leader. And if y'all are calling for our leader's head and we get somebody who's not as motivated, we could have a much worse franchise. So hold your tongue if you're coming at our front office right now. Seriously. Hold your tongue. Nameless saying, go ahead and drop a like, ladies. Thank you, Nameless. Leslie saying, anyone that sees Pence here on the street, give him a hug because he needs it. Give him a plant and a Dick jersey. Yeah. I don't know if I'd be that self-controlled to give him those things. I might want to give him something else. Trust me. G saying, the easiest way to get a following is to create a villain to hate on. This is a playbook in politics and life. That's why it will never end. Yeah, they villainize Justin Trudeau, Joe Biden, and now Fred VanVleet. It's the same playbook, the same kind of people, trolls, people that are trying to pull things apart, destroy things. Masai said he wants to create when he had his end of season interview. These motherfuckers want to destroy, and that is really exactly right. G's saying they use the playbook from politics in our Raptors Nation against our own players. And we got to stop that. Now, this is the thing. It's happening in all the fan nations. There's probably fans of ours that are going and causing problems in other fan nations too. And I applaud you. Thank you. In some ways, people say an eye for eye isn't right. We're both blind. But you know what? If the playing field's going to be like this, and this is just the settings, we better have our own team playing for us too. And not just taking this other team coming in and messing us up. Well, we better have a team going out there and doing our job the other way. That's why I was saying the things I was saying yesterday on this channel. Because in some ways, I know there's people already doing it for us. We'll keep going because you're fighting the good fight for our side, even if it's a symptom of the same problem in other places. It could be very well that at some point, all of our accounts need to be verified online, that there will be no more anonymity about what you're saying, that if you're going to put your opinions out there and say things, you want to be responsible for it. We need to know who you are. And that verified accounts may be a very, very important thing where you are identifying who you are. At some point, Facebook got this thing where you can't just have fake accounts all the time. You need to be a real person and have a real Facebook account. Well, they could easily do this shit with other platforms like Twitter, and that would maybe fix this problem. Because some people won't say everything they believe if they know everybody knows who's saying it. If they think they can be anonymous, they'll say it. But if they know that people know who that is, they may not say half the shit they're saying. And that could be a fix in this problem, verifying everybody's account. You want to say who you are? Well, we want you to take responsibility for what you say. And you got to be who you are out in public and not just like, taking shots from the dark in a basement in Timmins, Ontario. Yeah. Excuse me. I'm calling him out like Matt Devlin today. Yeah, I am. All right, let's see. Cowboy saying, I'll give him more than that. I don't think blank comes out of his dark room. Blackhawk saying, I don't want to hear about any Pascal trades. We need Pascal to be the first drafted player on this team to retire as a Raptor only player. Tom Duke's with that. You know what, Blackhawk? I'm going to give you a dunk because you are a voice of reason in this maddening Raptors Nation world right now. And I'm giving you a dunk just for a positive support comment that I love. MSJ saying dichotomous thinking. You need to see one as good, the other as bad, and it's easy to manipulate people. Some might call it politics. Laugh out loud. Raps fan politics are rather juvenile, but it's a kid's game. Yeah, I get this, and we're exactly dead on when we say the same playbook that's used in politics is being used in our Raptors Nation right now. Make a scapegoat, make a villain. Fred VanVleet, go after him and feed into that hate. People want somebody to hate because their lives are tough and they feel like, oh, this guy and that. You build up that villain character for people to really feed into it. And then boom, you have some sort of crazy ass group like MAGA or QAnon or Pensair. That's what I'm saying. He's in the same group as them. He's like the MAGA of Toronto Raptors Nation is Pensair. And people that don't realize that they're in the middle of it, you look just as stupid and fucked up as MAGA people do to people, QAnon people. Your arguments this weekend and some of the stuff y'all been saying just shows just how ludicrous your line of thinking is. Some of the stuff y'all been saying, seriously, crazy stuff. All right, Raps Love saying, I hate that donkey. He hates the whole team. I don't know why he talks Raptors. He hates our players. There you go, Raps Love. That's a fight for good. Yeah, I hate him too. He's a piece of shit. Chat cut off. Thank you, Nameless. Tom Duke saying, big bags of zip it up. Verify your account so we know who you are. Mike saying facts. Chris mentioned the team reading into the noise too much this year. That's a culture thing. Culture trumps hate, in my opinion. They just need to stop. Chris, don't do it. Fred, you go ahead now. I don't care. You're gone. But these other guys who are still here, stop looking at your social media stuff. Stop Googling your name or going on Twitter and putting your name in to see what all the latest posts are about your name. They're not worth it. Just trust me. It is not worth it. You don't want to open that up. For all the good you might find, all the bad you might find will be much worse. Seriously, you want to go in there, like Chris said, and feel good and get praise from them. That's not good praise to get. You don't want that kind of praise. And so the negativity that you get there, that's not helpful for sure, damn for sure either. So yeah, don't even go there. Just don't even go there. Tom Duke saying, have a great day, Raptor Freak family. Thank you, Tom. I hope you have a great Monday also. Maybe it's a long weekend. I don't know if you're working today. Wayne saying, I agree, Lex. Fred gave the haters more shine than the real ones. Focus on your accomplishments, which allowed you to get $40 million a year. Just say thanks. Yeah. In some ways, you didn't need to give them that audience, Fred. It was really a bad move. In some ways, you're a very smart guy. I know you are. You're one of the most intelligent players in the NBA today. But that was really dumb. You shouldn't have given shine to your haters. Cool Cat saying, Nick and Fred need media training. Yeah, I guess so. They grasp the art of professionalism being a public figure. Guess what? Masai and Bobby don't have public social media accounts. Yeah, and that's by design and smart. Seriously, they don't need them. Seriously, they don't need them. Well, they're in the middle of it all. They're the ones that get talked about. They don't need to go and see what other people are saying. They make the decisions and do it themselves. And in some ways, these other guys should have done that too. I don't know. I would be like Kawhi. I think Kawhi was right this whole time. He doesn't have none of this shit, and he never did. And he's smart for it. He very much is smart for it. Kawhi is a smart one on this. Fun guy saying, if I was a famous athlete, woo, I would be online so much. I care about all the good and bad. I'd love to see what people say to me daily. I have thick skin. So that's what Durant's doing. Some people are saying if Jordan existed in this era, he would be involved online. I think that's bullshit. You know what? Jordan's smarter than that. He wouldn't. He wouldn't waste his time with it. He'd be in the gym. He'd be working on his game. He'd also be smart enough to understand his relationship with Nike and the things that are going on with him and his businesses are could be hurt by him being engaging with people too much online. And this is the truth. He may turn off some people from being combative on social media, even if he's a competitor and people think he'd get on there and he talk shit. He wouldn't. He's not as dumb as Kevin. He wouldn't. He would be quiet. He'd be like, "This is a below me," and he would not get engaged in it all like y'all predict he would. You see, people don't know Jordan. There's some people that are younger that just have no idea who Jordan was and his personality. They just see the LeBron versus Michael argument, and they really don't understand how smart and how driven and how amazing Michael was. He's not dumb enough to be sewering himself on social media presently if he was a current player. Just trust me on that. He's savvy businessman, and he understands that he doesn't take political stances. He doesn't do any of that kind of stuff because he understands that could mean less money for him. And so why would he get online and mix it up with ordinary folks? He just wouldn't. And I don't know if people understand that. Fun guy saying, okay, I read that one. Leslie saying at Canadian Cowboy, get out of the basement. It's summer now. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Just touch grass. Maybe, whatever. MSJ saying, also, I think Bronny needs to play with Morant. Lex, you got to consider this as the Jabrani. All right, I'm not even going to say it. All right, this is your sixth dunk, MSJ. All right, that's so funny. Would be great. They might make a lot of dumb plays, but still. Well, of course they would, because it'd be a Jabrani lineup. Oh, I needed a good laugh like this. I mean, you set it up so good, MSJ. That is seriously, I'm going to give you 2 dunks for that because I love that so much. I love that so much. MSJ, you get 2 dunks for that. That's a double dunk right there. It's like you had 2 basketballs. You put one in and you put the other one in. Oh, that was so good. Cowboy's laughing at it. He wouldn't post a video for a month at least if I'd seen blank. I hate toxic people. Let's go, Raptors. There you go, Cowboy. I love it. Yeah, Cowboys out and about in the city. Don't call Tada, Robert. He knows what you look like. Smooth saying Fred was all about business. Let him go. There are aspects of Dennis that are better. Fred was not prime Magic Johnson. This is a reality check by Smooth Brown Man, and I agree with him. We stay present. He's gone. I'm letting him go. I'm fine with it. So it's all due with this due order. He did his thank you speech yesterday, so we're reacting to it today. So this may be one of the last Fred-oriented contents that I ever make on this channel. It may be very much one of the last ones for a long, long, long time. We may do the Fred VanVleet Classic Jurassic Trivia at some point. But for the most part, I will shift my focus away from Nick and Fred more and more as time goes on and really focus on our guys here. Dennis Schroeder is fantastic. I really love Dennis coming here. I was watching the skateboarding clips of him this weekend. He is a really good skateboarder. And he's got a YouTube channel. It's pretty fun. There's all kinds of goofy stuff on there. So if you want to get to know Dennis a little better and you can put up with watching Laker shit, go look at some of his YouTube content on his channel. It's very exciting and interesting. He's an interesting guy. He really is. He's a lot smarter than people give him credit. He's very much a very, very fierce competitor, and he's a winner. That's the other thing that people don't want to give him credit for. He wins over in Europe constantly. Germany is a tough power force in European basketball, partly because of Schroeder. Schroeder may be their best player, and Germany is one of the top teams in Europe. So there's a lot about Dennis that gets kind of like overlooked because he's a journeyman in our league. He's German, and he's not really American, so he's not going to get on blast for that. But people who play with him, people who know, fans of teams that he's played for, understand what he does for a team and why Raptors fans should be a little excited about Dennis Schroeder putting on the Raptors red this season. I know he's excited about it, and that says a lot right there. So I'm motivated to see a very dogged, determined defensive player who's taller than Fred and has more length on his arms. He could possibly hit some good open shots still, and he'll definitely get some steals also. So we're gonna have to see what happens. And you're right, Fred was not prime Magic Johnson, but he got paid more than Magic Johnson ever got paid ever this weekend. That's for sure. Infamous saying he should not be named. She doesn't realize the damage and others that they've done. Scotty is watching how we treated Fred and thinking maybe one day they may turn on me. Not a good look. Listen, once again, I don't want to be fearful that this and this because we can't control this, and the players know this. Once again, I made this delineation in past streams. There's fans, and then there's people that are fucks, and they can see the difference. It very much is like if Scotty's on the street and somebody comes up to him and they're like, I love you, Scotty. You're awesome. You're so cool. That's a fan. Now, if somebody's online and they're talking trash, like Scotty looks goofy or something like that, that's not a fan. And Scotty will look at it and you say, that's not a fan. I don't look at that person as a fan. They could even have a Raptors moniker on there. And it's like, well, that's just a bullshit, fucked up person that's not really a fan. So it's really how they get interacted with. If it's a positive or a negative experience, they deem whether this is a fan or not. And there's enough people that are in real life that see these guys on the street. They come up to them and say, you're so awesome. We love you. That's more of the real love that they feel. That if they don't go online and even see the toxic shit on social media, well, then they're feeling the love on the street from the fans instead. So, and that's the thing that's different. They don't perceive it the same way as we do. They just say, all right, well, that's not a fan. They may have Raptors on their profile picture, but that doesn't mean that they're actually a fan. There's enough trolls and enough imposters and shitty fans out there that, you know, these guys could easily say, well, that's not one of our fans. And they can put that line between, like, these are fans. These are people that actually love the team and they support us. I see them in public. I love them. They talk to me. They're so supportive. And then just idiots under a bridge or in a basement in Fort Erie. Yeah, Fort Erie basement dwellers fucking talking shit. Yeah, you know, they can make the difference. They know the difference. Cowboys saying the Raptors need to hear Lex. I hope so. I hope everybody hears me to a degree, not just on the Raptor stuff, but in general, all of what we're talking about with perception, social media, politics, and life in general, and things that are coming up. G saying, let's see this from another view. Fred has 695,000 followers. He has fans. Maybe he wanted to draw attention to the hate to bring out more positivity. I'm probably reaching, but look how it motivated you. Well, there you go. Maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. I mean, I really do feel like we need to be a counteractive balance to this of positivity towards the negative people. If you see a negative comment, make a positive comment to balance it out. Because once again, the people that are positive and happy, they don't make comments. They're quiet. And the negative ones are the ones who just whine and whine and whine and whine. And they get heard more just because they're more vocal, whereas they're very much the minority and the majority is just being silent. Never be silent anymore. Speak your truth. Mike saying, infamous. That's the irony of his existence and tactics. He doesn't realize he's going to need to defend Scotty from the thing he created. Well, I don't know. That'll be a very interesting tell right there, that you just know that he has no loyalty, even to somebody you professed so much love to last year, that he may turn on Scott at some point. I fully expect that. Everybody who loves Scotty and loves Pensera because he loves Scotty, don't be surprised someday if he turns on him. Seriously. At the right moment, he will. And he may very much start saying, I'm very much advocating a trade with the Lakers to get Scotty to the Lakers right now. You know, and then we'll know he never really was with us. He never really was with the Raptors. He's always been on his own agenda of bullshit. Seriously. Cool Cat saying, Lex, Fred VanVleet feeded the social media hate. Offensive, young and dumb. Offensive, complaining about ball taken out of his hand. Offensive, basketball IQ of fans. Fred VanVleet effects on cussing on social media. See, I don't mind that. He's just being himself. In some ways, he's like me. And I turn people off too. I say things like young and dumb too. I mean, I know he's in the spotlight, and maybe that, you know, you may think that that means that he should get this treatment like this. No, fuck that. These people are so sensitive. They think he's talking to them. Well, maybe if you feel like he's talking to you, maybe you need to look at yourself in the mirror instead of getting mad at him. I didn't feel targeted by any of that. Of course, I'm a little older, and I don't feel like he's talking to me when he says young and dumb. But if anybody felt like that or triggered by that, well, maybe he is talking to you. And maybe you are young and dumb, and you do need to hear. I get it. Fred's outspoken. What he did this year with Ben Taylor was fantastic. It was absolutely fantastic, and maybe not the smartest thing in the world. But in some ways, that outspokenness and him just being real him is part of why I love him. And some of those things that you're saying that he said, I don't mind him saying that stuff. If he feels like it's the truth and he wants to say that, he's a free speech as anybody else, and he should be allowed to say it. Now, you're right. In some ways, you're going to get the repercussions of it. But in some ways, the people that are triggered by anything that Fred said in those instances that Cool Cat's talking about, maybe you need to look at yourself and why you got triggered by them instead of coming at Fred, because he didn't know you. He just said in general. And if you feel like that cap fits your head, well, then you maybe need to look at what's going on with you in your life. A fun guy saying infamous, dude. It's the NBA. These are professional athletes. Hatred towards Fred isn't some unknown thing. Every fan base hates something. It happens on every team. Nowhere players can run. It's very bad in other places too. I don't know which ones rank the worst. We're up there though right now, obviously. New York's real bad. Philly's real bad. Boston can be real bad. Lakers Nation is very toxic and crazy. This is not a singular phenomenon to us. In some ways, it's weird. They all have their different flavors and maybe different things. Like Minnesota and Milwaukee, maybe the mostly happy fans and good fans, just because of their demographics of their cities, or people just don't care. They're not talking about them that much because they don't really see them as a threat or anything. That's part of it too. Is our stuff is intensified because a lot of people see the Raptors as a threat, as an organization, and they really want to try and destroy us. In Minnesota, they may not see, oh, this isn't a threat. So they're not as active in that fan base. Now, if Minnesota got really good all of a sudden and they started to seem like they may be a problem, maybe we see more of an intensity around their fan nation, just like we've seen with ours. It really does maybe speak to the fact that we're close and we're really, really good, and the powers that be don't want that, and that it intensifies because of that, because they want to really destroy. Let's see. Seymour saying, yo, what a weekend. Wishing for the best for y'all. Hope you all had a great weekend. Thank you, Seymour. That's very kind and nice. You too. Happy Canada Day. And happy 4th of July tomorrow to the Americans. Cool Cat saying, Fred in Texas better be careful with his public statements. Get media training. Yeah, especially because he's very left. He's very progressive. Some of his stuff that he's outspoken about up here will not fly down there. He may want to wear Black Lives Matter stuff, and he may get in trouble for that down there. That's some of the things he's got to realize. He's going to a fascist state, and his freedom to express himself may be limited, partly because of his organization telling him not to, and also partly from correction from people around him. There could very well be that he becomes, a lot of people hate him already because he's a social justice warrior coming in, and they're like bigoted Houston Rockets fans. So we'll have to see. There may be a really toxic phenomenon with him in that fan nation because he's a progressive young man, and that is a regressive state. Yeah, I could see that. Race Mode saying, good morning from Times Square, New York. Wow. Race Mode Daily is in Times Square. Fred is laughing his way to the bank with his generational wealth. Raptors have become the franchise to build wealth for these young kids. Let's go. If anything, we're generating money for people to make. I hope you have fun in NYC. Edmund, so good to see you traveling all over these days. You're all over the place right now. Holy cow. Mike's saying Boston players know they're hated, so it's not a massive effect. But bottom line, it doesn't help and isn't positive in any way toward the Raps long term. It pushes the money into more focus because there's no love. Mike, let's stop giving them more power than it is. I know you perceive this as hopeless and this and this. Well, we can't look that way. The only way to beat this is make them irrelevant and fight with love. That's the only way we can do it, Mike. So yeah, stop. I feel like you're making this really sound like there's nothing we can do and it's absolutely this desperate situation. It's not exactly that. Now, I want to compare Marcus Smart's exit and Fred's exit because they are very, very similar, and what's happened in different things with that. The Celtics fans have been very, very honoring him and very kind. And Marcus Smart had a much more heartfelt message to the Celtics nation than Fred did in some ways. He didn't mention his haters. He didn't talk about any of that. He talked about how much he'll always love the city, and he was very forthright with talking about it. In some ways, that downgrades Fred's thank you, because in some ways I am comparing it to his peer, Marcus Smart, because they have a very similar role and importance to the two teams they just left. And in some ways, Fred making light of the negativity, I'm sure Marcus Smart got a lot of negativity too, but he embraced the side of the fan base that really loved him. And I hate that, Fred, that you did do that. It's not smart. In some ways, you didn't do yourself any favors. in that kind of way. Seriously. Nameless is saying that's the other nameless guy, Mo. Let me DM as many players' personal accounts as I can, then brag about it. Stronzo. So there are two namelesses. I knew there was a fake nameless. I was pretty sure there was a fake nameless, and there wasn't. Let's see. Smooth saying Houston is not Toronto. The mentality there is very different, ultra conservative. I hope Fred is ready for it. Yeah, that's for damn sure. Oh yeah, it's not going to be the same place. In some ways, Fred won't be able to be a social justice warrior on the Houston Rockets. If he does, he might get punished for it. He may get the Houston Rockets punished for it. It's in some ways that's not a fit. Their cultures. What did Ime Udoka say? I didn't want to go to Toronto because they were too woke up there. Well, you just took one of our wokest players and he's your main guy now on your team. Like that is kind of crazy to me. Is Udoka's against woke? Well, you just got a really woke dude playing for you now. Keep politics out of play and talking to each other. That's for sure. If you're going to talk to Fred, don't talk politics, MA, because y'all aren't going to line up. Watch. Sheer Constant, I'm okay with Fred expressing his feelings because it would just be therapy and closure for him. We put franchise players on a pedestal, but the truth is they are just people like us. Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you on that. Sheer Khan saying also to me, the only image that is etched in my memory is right after that dagger three in Game 6 when his emotions came out with that band-aid on his face. True Raptors mini growth. That's right. And the real ones will celebrate him and put him in his place of honor as one of the greatest Raptors of all time and as a legend, a Raptors legend. And as I said in the post that I sent him a message on his post, I said, we want to see your 23 in the Rafters at Scotiabank Arena someday. And I'm pretty sure it will be there. It should be there. It should. He's a legend. He should have his jersey retired in our arena. He will. As much as the people that hate him will not like that, I am all about it. I want Fred's number 23 retired with the Raptors. Cowboys saying, let's go, Raptors. We got the best team. It's the Raptors versus the Raptors. Let's go. Darko, can't wait. No, it's not Raptors versus Raptors. We don't want that. M. Jones is saying, it will be super interesting to see what happens with Houston, though. Not sure what the vision is, but won't be surprised if this becomes a lack of chemistry thing like OKC years back. Yeah, I don't know how it's going to go in some ways. I really think Fred's going to be frustrated. As I predicted, I think his hair is going to gray prematurely, just like Obama's did when he was the president. Fred's going to go down there, and when he leaves Houston, he's going to have gray hair. Watch. Mugarbe is saying, good morning, Raptor Freaks. If the truth be told that the fans wanted Fred and Pascal be that want to give Scotty the key and Scotty's not ready. Yeah, they want to give Scotty the key and get rid of Pascal and Fred, but he's not ready for it yet. And we got to stop sending people out of the team. Good to see you this morning, Mugarbe. And thanks for sharing your story once again this weekend. So great to hear your immigration story. G saying there's a reason that a pick 30, Butler, and a pick 41, Joker, were the lead in the finals. Tougher paths had to listen to get to play. Nothing was given to them. I totally agree with this. In fact, that's part of the reason why I have no confidence in the young people is that a lot of them are getting things given to them and they're not earning it the hard way, like people like Fred, Jimmy Butler, or Nikola Jokic. And that's where the character is built. That's why I really have a lot of promise for Marquise Noel, is that he's going the hard route. You know, Scotty in some ways has an easy route in some ways, but not totally. It's not easy. It's hard to be a pro and work hard and do all that stuff. But in some ways, there's a privilege lane that's laid out to him as a blue chipper, All-American, stud kind of body frame coming up into the league. Well, things get rolled out for him like a red carpet. Whereas somebody like Noel, they got to come through the back door and go through the hard part to get to where they got to. And I think this is true. People that have had to go through the hard part, in some ways, they're more tested and they're more dogged. And in some ways, they want it more than people that have it all easy. And I completely agree with this. I completely agree with this, G. Cool Cat saying Fred might also be too abrasive for Scotty's liking. Scotty's about positivity. Pascal and Scotty get along, vets and young in relationships. Scotty and OG are friends. Both are great mentors. That could be possibly. I mean, now that it's over, now that Fred's gone, I can speculate about possible frictions between Scotty and Fred. But at that time, I didn't want to add to the noise of that idiot. So I didn't talk about this because it wasn't helpful. But at this point, there's no point in not ignoring it and not wanting to see it if it is possibly true. I could get this. Like Fred's style may be a little bit more serious and they want to be a little more loose. Well, that didn't work last year. It got too serious, and we needed things to be a little bit more loose last year. And I don't know if Fred's exactly to blame for that, We can speculate this. Once again, Cool Cat, in some ways, I don't want to sully Fred so much. I'm getting the feeling that you're really trying to like come at him with different things about his character right now. And what's the point? What's the point? His legend is what it is. And I know that maybe this is the way of you're feeling with that you're dealing with his departure, but it's not, there's no point in dissing Fred or even reevaluating whether him and Scott got along at all. What's the point at this point? It doesn't matter. It doesn't actually matter. If they actually had friction, then so be it. But I don't care. I really don't, because he's gone. It doesn't matter. David's saying I cancel that miserable fuck. Life's too short. So you went in, looked at it, you saw it was a pile of shit, and you walked away. Yeah, I get it, David. I get it. Cowboy saying everyone smash the like button. I appreciate that. G said no, that the narrative, but no, that's the narrative. But at the games I went to up close, Fred and Scotty were sharing workout bands and laughing together. Fred is serious, but teams need balance. Scotty posted Fred's assist game. Yeah, I really don't think there were issues with them. It was way more blown out of proportion and was a tool and weapon used by those forces that were trying to drive our team apart, that make a fake feud between Scotty and Freddie that wasn't actually real. It really wasn't. I mean, these guys are ultimate team players. They're professionals. They know that even if they don't like people on the team, they will play and get along. And honestly, they showed that they liked each other on the court all the time, just like G said. There was a lot of patting on the back and like high fives and smiles. And we both have them on record for saying that they do really respect and love each other. So I think this narrative is kind of fucked up. I mean, I get it. There's a personality clash. One's older minded, one's younger at heart, but it doesn't mean that they don't get along. It's weird. It's so weird how people wanted to pull that apart, and that really was from the politics viewpoint. You have somebody that's popular and people like, well, make an enemy for them on the team, and that was the playbook used by these idiots. Monique saying a new drop from CJ and Ahmed on Grady yesterday. I'll post in the group. Thanks, Monique. That's great. I like that. Like the whole thing about that is CJ Miles can really break down Grady Dick's shooting form from a very learned position of knowing from doing it himself, and really kind of tell us about what to expect with Grady's shooting. I know that's part of the content that's in this piece, and I'm excited to hear it. To hear more about CJ talking about Grady and the possibilities with him as the way he shoots and his style of shooting. He can really get into the mechanics of it and break it down from a very knowledgeable position of being a sharpshooter himself in the NBA in his career. So I'm excited to see that content. Thanks for letting us know. And please post it in the group. Cowboys saying, good job, David. Let's go. I can't even stand that guy's voice. I listened to him once and I got blocked because he said Lex was negative. So I lost it. Well, in some ways I am negative. I'm negative towards the negative people. I'm trying to be positive in all other aspects of things. I'm trying to give solutions. I'm trying to be problem solving. I'm trying to create. I'm trying to get better things for people down the road. But I will be negative towards negative people. And there are parts of me that maybe I should chill out and not be so negative. I'll take some constructive criticism, but I don't know how constructive that criticism is. And sure, yeah, he thinks I'm negative because I'm negative towards him. Oh, yeah, I'm very negative. I'm very negative towards him. Trevor's saying, for all the fans who hate our players, you shouldn't be here because we hate you too. Don't get out. You shouldn't be here because we hate you, so get out. All right, then butthole face ×4. I like it, Trevor. That's good. Butthole face, Nick Nurse, butthole face, good in effect. Wayne Strainer saying it's kind of shocking that people don't understand the power and extra $50 million over your previous contract. He left at equal offers that would have been different. Most jokers would take $2 million more. Yeah, he got paid way, way more than we would have been able to pay him. $13 million more. 13 million more. We could have paid him 30, and that may have been it. Maybe 32. So at least 10 million more going to Houston. So you tell me what made the decision. Was it the trolls? Was it that he didn't like Toronto? No, it was the money. It was the money. Seymour saying you can tell Durant really loves Watanabe. He recruited him to Phoenix. That's right. Yuta Watanabe going to Phoenix and posting pictures yesterday on his Instagram of the desert. You just had such an interesting NBA career with all of his different stops: Memphis, Toronto, Brooklyn, and now Phoenix. So it's pretty kind of cool that he's getting such a different, varied experience. And I'm sure Kevin Durant had a huge factor in the Suns getting him to come there. I'm sure he's just good vibes and they enjoy being around each other. So it's kind of cool that Yuta has a budding friendship with Kevin and that he specifically told the Suns to go get Watanabe. And I'm happy for him. I want to see Yuta in the league for as long as possible. And I'm glad to see him flourishing and since he's left the Raptors. Because honestly, when he was at that point with the Raptors, I wasn't sure if he was going to stay in the league or not. He was going to have to go to Japan and play professionally back in his home country. Well, he's still in the NBA, and Kevin Durant loves him. He definitely does. Davis got I guess that's the Nene or whatever it is, or whatever they do. Political Poppy is here, and he's retracted his message. I love the name. That's interesting. Are you Drake's political side? That'd be interesting. Cowboy saying, have a great day, Lex and Raptors Leagues. Thank you, Cowboy. Seymour saying the Canadian government spends over 225 million annually on the international hockey team, while every other sport in Canada gets just under 5 million. It is what it is. Nothing will change. Well, they want to protect the national identity of hockey in Canada. You know, there's really is scared old white men out there that are very scared of the Raptors and Masai Ujiri. And Ted Rogers III may be one of them. So that's what I'm saying. There are definitely forces out there that are trying to hurt the Raptors. And, you know, Fan Nation, you want to be part of that part that's trying to hurt us. So really think about what you're saying about the team at this point and stop destroying. Let's start creating. Mike's saying Fred VanVleet's most hated was in context of this year currently. He was pointing to the changes. All-Star was last year, then most hated this year. He's saying it wasn't like that before, but currently is true. Yeah, it may be true right now. I get it. He's saying he's the most hated, but some people are interpreting it as all time and stuff like that. I know it's all semantics, Mike, and I get what you're trying to say with this, but it doesn't really matter. He shouldn't have said that in the first place. He shouldn't have said it at all. Nameless saying W stream today, my Amish brother Lex. Thank you, Nameless. No more comments from me. Thank you. David's like, yeah, he keeps doing the thing over and over again. I don't know what that is. I forget what it's called. Hugh's here. Good to see Hugh. Just dropping by. Thoughts on free agency so far? Very interesting. You know, we've had subtle changes. We're not having big splashes, and people aren't really putting us on blast. But McDaniels and Dennis are interesting additions to our team, and I fully expect some more changes to our roster still. You know, people are saying different teams won this, won that in the free agency. I don't believe any of that bullshit until we see how it actually works out. Now, we'll have to see. I mean, there's very interesting changes going on. This Villanova reunion in New York is very interesting. And then, you know, the Lakers moves are very interesting. And, you know, how Houston's building this team with Fred now, interesting. There's some very interesting stuff going on in free agency for sure. I could go through every move and kind of analyze it, but I don't want to. There's so much. I'll kind of look at everybody at the beginning of the season when all the dust settles and kind of make analyze each team with their personnel going in at that point, like really on a case by case basis when we're going to face them. I'll go look at the roster and I'll kind of see what they've been doing and scout them a bit and let you guys know what the new look teams are like in this season when we get into the season. Wayne's saying, damn right, Lex. It's not hockey fans trolling. It's the hockey establishment community. New basketball fans have no history of the game and just parrot what social media latest narrative is. Yeah. Yeah. That's why we got to educate. And that's why, you know, it is going to be what it is and understand the forces that are out there against us. Masai has some very powerful Canadian forces against him in this country. And they're showing their heads a little bit. They're more visible right now. They usually hide behind stuff, but we can feel them and sense them right now. And they are through the words of Doug Smith and Josh Lewenberg, and maybe even troll burner accounts that these people from Hockey Canada have, that they're part of the noise. That they could be Hockey Canada people, the same people that were fucking have a sex scandal and a racist scandal, horrible people, and they're have burner accounts and they're actively involved in this, and they may be part of it. Could very well be that the NHL hired Pensair. Who knows? Maybe they did. Cool Cat saying, I look at folks' media page to understand where they are coming from. Don't engage the negativity in life. Seek out positivity and be positive. There you go, Cool Cat. That is a great MO for people to handle at this point. You know, you don't want to spend your money at a place where you don't like the owner, right? The owner cusses you out or he's an asshole. Well, you don't want to go to that restaurant anymore. That's the same thing we need to do with our attention. Our attention is like money in today's social media world. You want to spend your money in places and give support to things that are bad, then do it. But if you don't do it anymore. And that's what I'm saying. Attention, likes, clicks, views, that's all currency in today's social media world. You don't want to spend money somewhere where you don't agree with the person or like that person that runs that company. You don't spend money there. Do the same thing on social media. Cool Cat's exactly right. Evelyn's saying darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. That's right. There is nothing more powerful than love. And that's why they want us to be all miserable and hateful, because when we all come together in love, we are more powerful than any of the powers that be. And that lightness will drive out the darkness is exactly right. Thank you for quoting MLK today, Evelyn. Thank you so much. And thank you, Evelyn, for what you've got in the works for our Raptor Freak meet and greet on July the 15th, y'all. 3 p.m., Real Sports Bar and Grill next to Scotiabank Arena. We're going to all be there. The Raptor Freak crew, Monique, King from To The Point, the Saborans, Evelyn saying she's going to be there now. Myself will be there. Adriana's going to be there. We're going to have a whole great big crew of Raptor Freaks at Real Sports Bar and Grill next to Scotiabank Arena, 3 p.m., July the 15th is a Saturday afternoon. And Evelyn's doing something special for it. And I love you so much for it, Granny Evelyn. And I'm serious. I'm going to talk to you about what you're doing. I'm not going to let you do it all on your own. Trust me. Cowboys got the bang, and Monique's saying 55 people watching. That's right. People want to know what's going on with this team and what the fuck happened. Leslie's saying Cowboy, Pensair needs this. We need to stop talking about this guy. He's not a real Raptors fan. Let's go Raptors. We love our team. Exactly right. Exactly. In some ways, the swear jar maybe needs to come back. I don't know. Maybe we just understand that he's an entity out there, but we limit how much we actually really talk about him. But right now, it's a factor. We need to talk about him right now because this is a little bit of the topic of the weekend with Fred leaving. Monique's Mike saying, Granny Evelyn, big facts. I love that quote by Evelyn. It's so on point for right now. The light will drive out the darkness, y'all. Let's just do it. Let's just be light, energy light. We'll be beacons of light. We'll be people of light. We will spread light. So we'll keep doing that. Trevor's saying, to fans who had the Raptors players, please go take a dump from your butt. That is a bizarre demand, Trevor, and it gets a dunk. Seriously, that's a weird comment. The butthole face makes it perfect, too. So really good stuff. Yeah, Granny Evelyn dropping the MLK today. Awesome. I love it. Cowboys, Leslie's loving it, too. Cowboys saying, so true, darling. Let's go, Raptors and Raptor Freaks. Hugh saying, yes, it's known as the wet bulb effect. Yeah, that's what the name of it is. Hugh's talking about when I was talking about with the temperature rising. The wet bulb effect is very dangerous for humanity, and not enough people are talking about it. And if you learn more about it, you might change your personal behaviors very quickly. You might start riding your bike to work. You might start. I know that we have a very inconsequential addition to the change. It's very much the industries and their output of grossness with factories and all that kind of stuff. It's very much other people are way more guilty of causing climate change than the ordinary person. But as millions of people, if we all collectively make better decisions green wise, we can make a difference in this. And if you're worried about the wet bulb effect, which you should go look up and read about today, you might want to make little adjustments in your life because they can all add up. I don't want anybody to make sacrifices if it doesn't make any sense. Like, you may need to drive the car to get somewhere. But if you can be a part of change in any kind of little increments, it will all add up in every kind of way. And we need to get on the same page and work together with this because we're all in the same boat. Cool Cat saying the Russian invasion of Ukraine contributing to our climate woes in the world as well. Wars in other areas of the globe, rough times. Yeah, a lot of stuff is adding to it. Deforestation. This is part of the reason why we need to protect the green belt here, is because the green belt is on our side to help save humanity. You cut down more and more trees. The trees are actually the ones cleaning the carbon out of the air. That they love the carbon. They thrive on it, but they can't get all of it fast enough because we're putting so much in the air that they can't deal with it fast enough. So you want to make a difference. Ride your bike or walk, take public transit, and plant a tree. Put a bunch of trees in the ground because they are the species and the entities on this earth that will save humanity. It is the trees. And we got to, that's the way you do it right there. KSM saying Jalen is sus. If you know, you know. Jalen is sus. Jalen. Oh, you mean Jalen McDaniels? Interesting. My jury's out on him. He's a better shooter than I thought he was. And he is that long, lanky kind of athlete we like to have. We'll have to see. David saying, I was diagnosed with a congestive heart failure at the age of 38. No one is invincible. Enjoy what you have while you have it. You get a shock or you get a health scare like David's talking about right there. It really will change your outlook on life. It'll make you realize what's important. And you may change and move in a whole different way after that. And, young people that don't understand this, or just people at any age, I shouldn't say young people, immature people that don't understand the sanctity of life and just how fragile we are as life forms on this planet. I really hope you never ever get that reckoning, but you will probably someday. And hopefully you won't be too late and you'll realize that you've lived your life in a fucked up way, considering the truth, the utter, pure, absolute truth that you find when you're in a place like David just described, when he had congestive heart failure at the age of 38 and he had a real reality check at that moment. I'm sure that changed his outlook in some ways, and it may have he grew up after it in some ways that he was very thankful for in some ways. Sheer Constant Lex, you are truly the fan goat with that PSA. Was so glad to find the freak family you started to combat all the negativity out there. We need more peace and love in the world of sports, for sure. For sure, Sheer Khan. I love that. And I don't know why Political Poppy doesn't want to talk to us today. You've got like 2 statements and you're retracting them. Oh my gosh. Nameless is you're saying that David's just like your older brother. That's what I'm saying, man. There's people in your life that are vulnerable. There's people, I don't care who you are. There's somebody you love that you know is vulnerable in some way, and you don't want to have them go away. You'll miss them. And you got to think about that with the realm of everybody in the world in that kind of way. We're all vulnerable. We're life forms on this earth, and we can go extinct. Trust me, we can. The dinosaurs went extinct. We can go extinct too. They're bigger than us. All right. Cowboys saying, well said, Shirkan. Let's grow. Yes. All right. Van Hoot's here, man. All right. I want to see what Van Hoot's saying. Sorry, I got to tease a bit. When y'all were on the point, y'all outlined that King supposedly knew the realtor of Fred and that his house wasn't on the market and that Thad would be cut. Well, all right, Van Hoot. I'm going to say this. All right, first of all, I do know a little bit of what's happened with you and Brian in recent months. So I'm going to say you're not impartial on this. You very much have an axe to grind with him right now. For some reason, y'all aren't getting along. So I want to preface your statement by saying that to everybody on this channel, that Brian and Van Hoot used to work together and they've had a falling out. So, all right, listen, we filmed this and, I believe Brian too, when he said that he had a very reliable source that was confirming that Fred was going to stay. Well, I think that reliable source was right at that moment, but the third year added by Houston changed everything, that Fred was going to reject the 2-year, $83 million deal and sign with us. And that was the information that Brian had gotten from his source and the one that I was echoing this weekend. Well, it didn't happen that way because Houston upped their game. Well, Van Hoot, you want to come and be jolly and dance all over that and say, what's the point? Who gives a shit? We prognosticated and we were wrong. Brian's source thought that they were right, and it didn't turn out to be that way. Houston upped their game, and that's what happened. So listen, you want to dance on King for being wrong in that situation? That's stupid, man. Seriously, you make predictions all the time on your channel all the time too, and you're wrong all the fucking time too. So seriously, you want to pick that and you want to pick and cherry pick and shit like that? Well, listen, what Brian said about the things that happen with you guys, you're not in a flattering light in my eyes in some ways. So yeah, you go ahead and be like that and think that way. And it was the realtor, so you know more than I know because I didn't know that it was his realtor that was talking. So yeah, all right. And then you're bringing up Thad too. Well, Thad's a reactionary part of the chain of reactions also. The Thad could have easily been cut that day to help make the room for Fred's new contract, but it didn't happen. So Thad could stay. So that is totally contingent on the other stuff. So yeah, all right, Van Hoot. I don't understand what your objective is at this point. Let's see. Mike saying Van Hoot, Gary Trent Jr. taking the player option made keeping Fred and Thad possible. The outline I had with Gary with an extra $6 million changes to have only needed Flynn out of the trio of Otto, Thad, and Flynn. Yeah, he had figured it out how it would all fit, and we had planned to do that, but there was a threshold we couldn't go over. And Fred, it was on him too. He could have stayed loyal and said, "No, Houston, I'm just going to sign with Raptors, whatever they want." So Fred did take the bag, and that's the whole determinant of this. They gave him an offer he couldn't refuse. So yeah, you can go back and look at everybody's content and point out all kinds of egregiously wrong predictions, Van Hoot, if you really want to cherry pick. It's just we had one that day. We filmed it on Thursday. The free agency decisions were made on Friday night. So that clip of me on To The Point was made before free agency. And that's why we said all that stuff at that time, because we really did believe it was going to happen that way. I still believe that would have happened that way if the third year hadn't been added by Houston. So there we go. All right, Van Hoot saying, I get the mourning over Fred, but can we start celebrating the Pascal who said outright that he wants to be here? Sick of our media suggesting we got to rebuild and ship Pascal. Dame ain't coming. All right, Van Hoot, on this comment, I'll get behind you 100%. And I will line up with you exactly on this. I'm exactly with you on this. And I appreciate this comment. I'm with you. We are upset and sad that Fred's gone. We're definitely not Fred haters. We loved him. And this is a bittersweet, sad kind of moment this weekend. And we have to honor it and go through it, healthy way. But yeah, I'm with you. I'm not liking everybody so casually talking about trading Pascal right now. And I am completely with you on that point, Van Hoot, for sure. And I don't think Dame's coming either. I think people have they really want it, possibly some people, but I don't think it's going to happen. Let's see. Iceman's going to say Nick Nurse will be coaching the 76ers Summer League team. Is that announced? Is that for real? That they're going to let Nick do the Summer League? Well, he doesn't have to do Team Canada anymore. He's probably wants to stay busy because he kind of feels bad. It could be that he's going to sit at home during the Team Canada games and Jory's going to be doing it. And he's going to feel kind of shitty about it. So he wants to stay busy. So they're going to send him to Vegas to coach in the Summer League. That's what I think, Iceman. That's what makes sense to me right there. Sheer Khan saying, Raptor Freak family, I did not realize that the Cavs got Max Strus through San Antonio sign and trade. How's that even possible? Raptors are interested in Michael Beasley among 5 other teams, so there is a scenario where it's possible. I'm not big on Beasley. But yeah, they got Strus and Niang. I'm like, those guys are the same player. You got Georges Niang and Max Strus on the same team. I'm going to be confused because they're like the same player. It's like Cleveland likes to have 2 of everything. They got Allen and Mobley. They got Garland and Mitchell. They want 2 little Ds, 2 centers, 2 fat 3-point shoot guys. That's what they're all about, is getting duplicates of everything. So now they got the 2 Niang and Strus, which is hilarious to me that both those guys are on the same team. I don't know what the fuck Cleveland's doing. I don't care. I just hope they have failure over and over again. That's all. Let's see. Nameless is saying, and less speculation. We want less speculation from our journalists into Yeah, just report the facts. Get back to that Walter Cronkite, Edward R. Murrow School of Journalism, and just tell us what's happened instead of like guessing or forecasting or any of that kind of shit. Some of the journalists that are on Raptors Republic, they do way too much of this, but some of them are good at it. But Doug Smith and Michael Grange, you guys have so much of a reach. It's very powerful, the sentiments that you put out there about the Raptors and the direction they're in, because you form public opinion, and y'all need to be more responsible with your speculation. Y'all are wrong all the time, and you cause damage all the time. Now, that may be very much on purpose because you have an agenda for certain things that we've talked about already. And yeah, it's totally true. Less speculation, some real journalism, please. Cool Cat saying we have a global fan base, Canada, US, in other continents, Latin America, Caribbean, Europe, Asia, Africa. Folks fear the global impact because we are winning that strategy. See Masai's Order of Canada. Yeah, they know we're powerful and we're very successful, and we've kicked ass despite them trying to fuck us up. They really hoped we would have died and went away when Kawhi left. When Kawhi left, they were like, well, now we don't have to worry about the Raptors. Well, they were wrong. The Raptors continue to be a problem. And they're really like trying to kill us off little by little. Fred and Nick being gone now are the last couple stages of really trying to kill us off. We'll have to see how killed off we are, or we just shed our skin like a snake and we become the newest version of ourselves that's still successful, and they can all suck it because they didn't kill us off, because we're defiant of it and we don't give a shit. And you're right. In some ways, Masai is building political power, influence, and global reach around the world. And some people may not like that for certain reasons. I think that Masai Ujiri could possibly turn around and run this country someday as the Prime Minister of Canada. And I wouldn't be upset by that. I think he would do a really fine job if he led our country. Seriously, he really would. And that may scare the shit out of some old white people here in Canada. A very, very powerful black man in Canada like Masai Ujiri. And I'm telling you, there's a very old school kind of racism in Canada because in some ways they haven't had to deal with black people in a lot of corners of Canada. And part of truth and reconciliation with Canada today is also truth in reconciling that there is racism in Canada, and that white people, some white people in Canada look down on black people in certain ways. It's just the truth. It's like that in rural areas in these states and in Canada. So I just got to say that. And, that's part of the whole situation too, as Cool Cat put it. Van Hoot saying at Logic, they suggested Fred would take 10 million less than reported. Got to admit, I nailed it for once. All right, Van Hoot. Once again, this isn't like every couple comments you have, you just toot your own horn and say, I'm right, I'm right, I'm right. Well, I don't give a shit if you're right. You could have made all these predictions in the world and you'd be right on 1 out of 10. And you're picking this one to talk about. I don't give a shit if you're right. Once again, I've told Mike this in the past, and I come down on him on the same thing. If you have a legitimate gripe, like Fun Guy, they said, I was against Nick this whole season. You didn't listen to me, Lex. And I know that's true. I will say you were right in that situation. But this has nothing to do with us. I don't care what you put out there on your channel or you said this or that. This isn't the channel for you to come in and do a victory lap because you were right. Let's just put it that way. All right? Because this has nothing to do with my content, whether you were right for once or this kind of stuff like that. If you were right, okay, good. What do you want? A fucking cookie? All right, here's a fucking cookie, Van Hoot. You were right. How you feel better now? All right, you were right. I mean, what's the point? Seriously. Let's see. G saying after tax adjustments, Fred is going to make 60 million more. The new CBA rules, the absolute biggest factor in all of this. Yeah. And the factor that Houston had to spend a bag and they had the bag and Fred wanted it. There you go. Dunk for Cool Cat. You want to dunk for Cool Cat? Bradley, in some ways, you can direct a dunk for people, and we'll give Cool Cat a dunk. And you know what? I'm going to retroactively give Evelyn a dunk for the MLK quote today. Evelyn does not have a dunk yet, and we have just given Granny Evelyn her first dunk today. We've given a lot of dunks today. This is fantastic. Good comments today. Let's see. Mike saying, Van Hoot nailed it. I can't say Fred wasn't money focused, but your opinion of Fred's value is completely not nailed. So unless you said Fred was worth more than 30 million and would go a crazy offer, you're not right. Yeah, once again, we're not going to argue about whether people are right or wrong or take kudos and stuff like that, unless it pertains to things we talked about on the channel in very specific ways. Nameless is saying that Pascal comment actually just made me nauseous. I wish we didn't say that. I can't unhear that crap. It's really fucked up and crazy shit. Like the hate towards Pascal in a certain way is on another level of racism and fucked upness. It seriously is. All right, we got a lot of comments still, and then we paid attention to the cutoff. It's awesome. I love it. All right, let's see what else we got. All right, I'm gonna get back to where we're at. Holy crap. All right, Van Hoot saying, last stream I said he would get at least 35. You argued 30, and I said that wouldn't be sufficient. Also, KPJ is a head case, so no thanks to KPJ. Martin Jr. got traded to Clippers. We didn't even get a TPE. The TPE is McDaniels, I believe. It is McDaniels is the TPE. The other mid-level exception is Schroeder. So our two exceptions are those two players, is Jalen McDaniels and Dennis Schroeder for those exceptions. All right. Once again, I don't care what you said. This isn't the content where it's like, let's go over what Van Hoot said before and analyze whether he was right or not. That's not what the kind of content I want on this channel, Van Hoot. It's being very egotistical you are right now. And honestly, I don't have time for this. Seriously, I don't give a shit if you were right or not. That's not important to me. Cowboy's saying, wow, that's scary and sad to hear about Pascal. What's wrong with these people? It's really messed up. I don't know if you guys struck a comment or something like that. It's really messed up what they've been saying and some of the pictures and all kinds of stuff they were saying, especially around the bubble. Cool Cat saying basketball summer league start today, July 3rd through 5th, July 3rd through 6th, 7th through 17th. Lots of rookies to see, basketball all year round. Cool Cat's excited about that, staying present and moving forward and looking forward to summer league starting up this week. We got a game starting this week. We got to have Raptors. We got to find out who our roster is. All the other teams have their rosters out, and we haven't really released our summer league roster yet. So what the fuck is going on, Bobby Masai? Let's see who you got. Maybe you're still figuring out who it is. Cowboys saying when's the first game? I believe there's a San Antonio and Sacramento game starting off the summer league, and it may be today. I'm not sure. Mike saying, Van Hoot, you also said Fred wasn't a good leader and was creating issues, but the Rockets overpaying him to come to be a mentor was worth more than your opinion of it. I said be careful about inside info, bro. I don't know. All right, yeah. Once again, Mike, both you guys, I don't care. Well, I'm going to do this back and forth right now. If I see your comments starting out with the back and forth with you guys, I support Mike in this issue. And Van Hoot, really, seriously, you're coming from an ego point right now. It's not good. Monique saying, a bit off topic. Did anyone see Corey Joseph going to the Warriors? I didn't anyway. W Stream Lex all around. Keep at it. Always good times. Go Raptors. Thank you, Monique. I appreciate it. Once again, I apologize for being short with you yesterday. It was not right how I misdirected my anger towards you. And I appreciate you're still here with us. Seriously. Corey Joseph going to the Warriors was a very much out of left field kind of thing, because it's like they got Chris Paul and Steph Curry. They got point guards. Well, they got another aged point guard that's going to be there with them. Corey Joseph is now a Golden State Warrior. And in some ways, I'm proud of him, and I'm kind of rooting for him because I do like Corey, being a Toronto guy and a former Raptor. And I was kind of wish he'd come here. But you know what? Hey, he wants to go to the Warriors, a very old team. In fact, the Warriors are looking like the Miami Heat last year now. They're that South Beach retirement home, except it's a full house retirement home on the San Francisco side now. Is what's going on now, Monique. So our new retirement home is in Golden State. Van Hoot saying Houston is paying what it's called a credibility tax. You just refuse to accept certain things. All right. Once again, I don't want you to attack Mike. And you know what? They had to do this because of the new CBA. So this is all very new stuff. So anybody being predictive and stuff like that, in some ways you're lucky, because the way things happen and evolved are very surprising and not totally able to be predicted. Daniel's here. Good to see Daniel Chasson. Welcome. We do a live stream every morning at 9:30 talking about Raptors, and I'm at 3.5 hours. It's just crazy. I mean, there's a lot happening, so I understand Lexathons are very common right now. Tomorrow we'll be doing Tuesday trivia on a subject that has to do with the Raptors, so I hope you come and play tomorrow at 9:30. Daniel's saying they rented space in his head, as they say. Yeah, I hate that. I mean, Fred, seriously, you have the guard, the gate. You keep that gate up so you don't let this bullshit in your head. Seriously. In some ways, if it motivates you, maybe it got too much and you may be like, it's too much, Fred. You didn't need to do it. And I really hope the Raptors will train the staff and the players and the families of the players to better navigate the new world of social media and how toxic it is. But good to see you, Daniel. I hope you'll return some more times and join us every day. MSJ saying, going to be a fun year coming. New start, and summer games should be fun too. I really want to see Grady's shooting will translate day one. I think it might is so good. So no fear in his shot. I hope so too. It's exciting. The new Raptors, exciting the new coach. And, you know, it is change and there's opportunity and it's going to be fun. I mean, I'm a fan. The team wins, the team loses. I'm a fan no matter what. There's no conditional relationship between me and the Raptors. If the Raptors do not win this year and they're not very good, well, I will still love them and be passionate about it. Now, there's a lot of people that won't be that way. They'll turn their backs on them. They'll say they're garbage. They don't deserve my time. Why did I pay so much on my season tickets? You know, all this kind of bullshit that people are going to say like that. You know what? That's the difference. Some people just ride or die and accept and love their team no matter what. You know, just like the Grizzly Truth, that young lady who was so into them, didn't care if they won or not. They just were happy to have an NBA team in Vancouver. And in some ways, we need to be a little bit more like that, the real Raptor fans, and just say, I love my team, win or lose. And, you know, they're going to lose sometimes, and I got to be patient and be okay with it. But when they win, boy, I'm really going to celebrate it because I earned it as a Raptors fan, hanging through the tough times with them to get to the good ones. And I think that's part of it. I love that enthusiasm MSJ's saying. I want to see Grady Dick. I want to see Dennis Schroeder. I want to see Darko. I want to see the changes. Logical saying, okay, but logic isn't adding up. When they were better players, yeah. Okay, you guys are just going back and forth. I'm skipping you two for a little while. That's fine. Nameless saying, Lex, our grandmothers are in the same nursing community in Scarborough? Maybe. I don't know. I don't want to give the exact details of where my grandmother lives, but she does live out in West Hill. She lives out in West Hill, way out. So she's not even in Scarborough. She's almost in Pickering. Let's just put it that way. Let's see. I bet they're in the same home. I don't know. My grandmother's in a very specific home with people from her home country. In fact, she's in a home with people that she knew as a kid in the 20s. That's amazing to me. That as a war refugee going through World War II and leaving Europe to come to Canada and all the disarray of war and immigration, that she found some of the people from her own community in Estonia from way back then. At this point in her life, at her age, she has people that she knew when she was a child that she's living with right now. And I think that's so amazing and a crazy thing that, you know, that kind of life journey of being an immigrant coming from Europe through war, and you still link up and find these people later on at that age of your life. Let's see. Seymour San Martin Jr. went from Houston to LAC. Okay, so it was Kenyon Martin Jr., not Porter. I get those two guys mixed up because they're K Jr., both of them. So it's Kenyon Martin Jr. that went to the Clippers and not the Kings. Okay, thanks for clarifying it, Seymour. Mike saying, all right, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and skip that. That's fine. And I'm skipping you too. MSJ saying, look at the 90s with the basic gangs in English football. They were criminal thugs and cracked heads for real. What I see in Rapland is baby stuff, whining wimps. Fans kill players in other places. I know. And we don't want to get to that point. That's regressing a society and civilization to barbaric, like caveman kind of shit. Yeah, we don't ever want to get like that. And that's true. But that is part of why some people may be so crazy in our fan nations, because they come from those countries that are that kind of crazy fans in their sports. You know, that's what I'm saying. We're international. We have people from all around the world here. We may have some of those English hooligans that are around our fan base. Who knows? Nameless saying, I believe the term for the other nameless guy in the room is dingy. Dingy? Okay. Hey, King's here. Keep up the good work, freak. Thank you, Brian. And thanks once again for having me on your show. I really do appreciate it. I know in some ways our clip didn't age very well, but I was so proud and happy to appear on it. And Brian, you are always welcome here. And I will come back on your channel again very soon. And I'm so happy to hear that you're going to come to our Raptor Freak meet and greet July the 15th, 3 p.m. The King from To The Point will be there also, y'all. Mike's saying, only thing I'm into about Fred now is, all right, I'm sorry, Mike. I'm going to skip you just because you guys are going back and forth too much. Gio's saying happy Monday. Happy Monday to you, Gio7 Mad. Good to see you. Coquette saying, Lex, Fred VanVleet's outspoken social media strategy means others will dish right back too. It's a two-way street. Look at Lowry, Kawhi, Pascal's approach. Don't engage the trolls. We'll move on. Don't feed it. Yeah, I feel like that. That's a very good statement to say, don't feed the trolls. And maybe Fred was feeding the trolls to a degree. And maybe that did make more of a troll group anti-Fred. That could very well be. You're right. Then maybe he did feed the fire by feeding the trolls. I think you're probably right. And it's different. Those are very good names. OG, Kawhi, and Pascal may be better choices than Lowry. I don't know. Lowry may sometimes get into it, but probably not. MSJ saying, if you ever visit another fan base's YouTube stream, I'm always very nice. And why not? It's a love for basketball that unites us fans. Fans don't play, win or lose, just lower the ticket prices. There you go. I like that statement all around. That's pretty good. I like that. Let's see. Mojo's here. Good to see another new name. Scotty worked a lot to get to where he is. Let's not discredit Scotty's journey. He's also dealt with a lot of backlash this year, hasn't he? All right. Yeah, I don't discredit him. I think he's worked very well, but I'm just saying, and this is a really good example, Mojo, of privilege. There's a difference in privilege between him and Noel. That's just the pure truth. There's a different level of privilege for Scotty and Freddie. It's just undeniable. They have different routes as players. I'm not saying Scotty didn't put in the work. He didn't go to the gym. He didn't work hard, but the opportunities came to him easier. It's very similar to being a white and a black person in society. A white person will have more privilege and easier time getting certain jobs than a black person. That's just the damn truth. And you can say, oh, Lex, you're bringing race into this, but it's the truth. There's privilege is a thing where it's like, all right, people get privilege wrong. Privilege is where you don't have as much obstacles in your life, that everything's kind of set up for you to cruise down the road and just pick things up. And I'm not saying that Scott didn't put in the work and the time to get the accolades into place where he is. If he didn't, he wouldn't be there. That's for sure. But the obstacles in front of him were much less than the obstacles in front of Fred or Marquise Noel. And that's the difference that I made when I made that statement earlier. I'm not saying Scotty had an easy time. Making the NBA is not easy. I'm just saying that he's privileged to have an easier route to the NBA than those other guys, because he has an immense natural physical talent in him. These guys are both under 6 foot, Fred and Marquise. They made the NBA. That's a privilege they didn't have, is the height, just in that. So I want to make it clear, and I don't want to sully this. I can tell you're a big Scotty fan. I am too. I love Scott. He went to Florida State. I went to Florida State. I know a lot about him, and I really do trust and love and respect this guy. I just don't want people to think that I'm anti-Scott, because I definitely am not. And I do really believe he worked very hard. But I'm trying to give an illustration of the idea of privilege. And a privilege for a lottery pick is much different than an undrafted player. And that's just the truth. Nameless is saying, other nameless equals he who shall not be named without penalty. All right. Cool Cat saying, Scotty making it out of the hood is his life lessons. He is serious about taking care of his family. That is his priority through his basketball talent. Yeah. Yeah. And that's a very good point that Cool Cat has. His life was hard, as he put it himself. He got it out of the mud. And what he means by that is he grew up in a family with not really a father figure around, and he was on food stamps, and they were just making it happen. That's why that video of him giving that car to his mom is so special, because they really had a hard time scraping it together in Palm Beach down there, and just making it happen. And she, kudos to her for raising him and getting to the point to where he is now. That's a big, big deal. It's a very, very big deal. So, and in some ways, I could say this, like, all right, we could look at Grady and Scotty's lives, and Grady's life may have been more privileged than Scotty's in certain ways. And Scotty may have had a harder route to the NBA than Grady did. Let's just put it that way in some ways. So who knows? I mean, we can look at it in all kinds of different ways. Privilege is a real thing, and people that discount that privilege doesn't matter in society are blind to the factor of what it does. And that's what that's just the truth. All right, let's see. Okay, Dana's saying that Dalano signed with Boston. Oh, I mean, part of it's champagne. I think it is. I mean, they're buddies. They want to be together. I hate this. Dalano, why'd you do this, bro? I guess this is breaking news. Let me go look at Twitter real quick. I want to see the actual announcement of it. Dalano signed with Boston just now. Ugh. Why are you doing that, Dalano? All right, free agent point guard Dalano Banton has agreed to a 2-year contract with the Celtics. Shams is reporting. Blake is saying, I could understand not qualifying Banton if you had a new deal lined up with him. I don't really understand talking him up so much all offseason. He was the avatar of we got away from development and losing him outright. That's Blake Murphy saying that. Samson Folks saying Rexdale forever. Oren Weisfeld saying good for Banton, who likely says Boston has a better situation to grow. Bad for Canadians who now have to watch the Celtics. I like Banton. Think he'll be a good NBA player. Very rare passing chops, court vision that he hasn't really unlocked at the NBA level due to limited threat of scoring and still very young. I'm disappointed the Raptors didn't find a way to bring him back, especially after losing Fred VanVleet. Yeah. And then here's Shanika, more of it on here an hour ago. Y'all too bold on Twitter. You haven't been in an NBA arena without buying a ticket, let alone contribute to anything, including bills. Yeah, there you go. You tell him, Shanika. All right. Well, this is unfortunate. Breaking news right now. And wow, in some ways, this was expected because they met with him the other night. And it is what it is. Whatever. Dalano, in some ways, I'm disappointed with you, but you are a native son and from the city. So in some ways, I'll celebrate you still. But you're the enemy now. And in some ways, you're just like Nick at this point. And unfortunately, I hope you don't have very good success there. Seriously. I hope that you don't have good things happen. And hopefully, maybe you can come back to Toronto someday. But if you don't, I guess this is just how it is. Logical saying, so people claiming he wasn't even worth a bag of chips was because he said things on Twitter. That's not really touching the source of the hate. Play on the court and not valuing his skills. Banton gone. Yeah, that's too bad. Leslie's saying, I want a chip. Should be in the Raptors locker room every day. I like that. Cool Cat saying, I'm very excited about our bench that is forming. Yeah, KD loves YUTA. He brings a smile to KD always. He brought that joy back to the game for Durant, and that's very valuable. I hope that Grady Dick can have that joy come to the game also, and Marquise Noel for our team. Marquise really making them understand that this is nothing's given. You got to take it. And then also Grady keeping things light with fun. And I think that'll be good. Cool Cat saying Fred VanVleet will always be a part of history, undrafted to the championship. That's right. Cool Cat's also saying Masai's impact of basketball, humanitarian effort, and progressive ideology should be an inspiration to us all. He's an officer of the Order of Canada now, and that's fantastic. All right, Mike's saying Flynn and Doughton are closer to the current group skills. Tough choice had to be made. Shooting is the bottom line of need. We are still in winning with this group mode and the timing of things with Dalano. Dalano's more like a I call these guys at the end of the bench sometimes victory cigars. Boban has very much been that in the past few years. Boban doesn't play normally, but the team that Boban's on, they like to see him get in at the end of the game. Taco Fall's another one of those guys. In some ways, Dalano Banton is this kind of guy. He's kind of like a victory cigar. You put him out there because you're in a good place, and you can play him at the end because it's garbage time. So I don't know. We'll see what happens with this. Van Hoot, I'm going to read your comment, but be careful here. Fred grew up under KL. Both were abrasive old school leaders and kids. These days don't necessarily respond to that, even if it is right. It isn't negative about character, but an observation if Cool Cat is right. Grew up under KL. Oh, Kyle Lowry, yeah. Oh, both were abrasive old school leaders and kids this day. Yeah. All right. So you're saying kids are soft? They don't take like the old way of doing things to build them up and toughen them up. They have to hear good things and they can't be like criticized. That's part of what I'm hearing is like the kids are soft and they can't take criticism. And if that's the problem, well, they're never going to progress or get better. If they're soft like that, well, then they're fucked. They're not going to get any better. And that's why I have no faith in some of the young generation in the NBA. Because if they're soft like that, they're never going to get better if they can't take criticism. And that's no good. David's saying at Granny Evelyn, please get my number from Lex and send me your text. I have something to discuss with you. Okay, David has something that he wants to discuss with Granny Evelyn. Very interesting. Cool Cat saying Delano signed 2-year with Boston. Blah, blah. Space Cadet saying Bant going to Boston. There goes another ball handler. What is this team doing? Lack of ball handling is a real concern. Well, he's not the one I'm really worried about. In fact, a lot of people last week were saying he's not a good ball handler. So what is it? Hugh's saying coral reefs also play a major role in the natural process of releasing oxygen and taking carbon. Yeah, and they're getting destroyed also. And there's a big movement to mine more of deep sea and do stuff. This is not the right direction we need to go. Exploiting the earth of its natural resources for our own financial game over made up play money that we only value as humans, whereas the natural world doesn't give a shit about money. Cataclysm and death of all humans doesn't matter about money. You can have all the money in the world, Elon and Jeff and Zuckerberg, and it won't fucking save your ass. You'll still die like the rest of us. So yeah, you go ahead and collect all your play money in a situation that doesn't even fucking matter. What'll matter is the resources should have been there still keeping our world in balance and us alive. Yeah, you go ahead and keep exploiting the earth for your own financial gain, people, and we'll all die because of it. Yeah. David's saying, check out Team Tree. Really cool program. All right, Team Tree. I like that. Mike saying this signals Flynn will factor into a Darko's system and Fred redundancy is gone. So it does open a role for Flynn to show out this year. In my opinion, we might not trade Flynn with this Banton move. Interesting. I hope Flynn steps up and takes that brass ring and kicks so much ass this year. Flynn, you want to be the starting point guard? You might be able to be this year. That's crazy. Van Hoot saying, I don't have any beef towards Brian. I've reached out to him and he's being lazy. That's not what he told me, man. That's not what he told me. There's a whole other side to this story than what you're saying there is what I'm hearing. Space Cadet saying, yeah, but the third year is a team option. Which one? I'm not sure. Van Hoot saying, Lex, you are misinformed and picking fights with me wrongfully, which is silly. Plus, what was I specifically incorrect on? Be specific if you're trying to be rude or chip at my show like that. I don't know what you're saying on your show because honestly, I can't watch it all the time. I don't watch every single one of them. I've watched your shorter clips on some of the draft prospects, and that's really good stuff. And I've given you kudos. I'm just trying to tell you, Kenyon, real quick, just real quick. You're rubbing people the wrong way in Raptors community with certain things that you're doing and how you're operating. I understand you work very closely with Brian at a certain point, and you guys were working together and things were fine, and things have kind of changed a little bit. All I got to say is this. Your ego is your enemy right now, and stop worrying about whether you're right or not. Just do your content and make it. And if you're right, people will recognize it and they'll tell you. That's what I do here. Like, listen, people tell me all the time, Lex, you were right. This happened. You're right. Let them say it. It's just like LeBron. LeBron is the greatest. He doesn't need to say it. Other people will tell him he's the greatest. So, man, when you run around saying I'm the greatest, just like LeBron, it doesn't look good. So just go ahead and take your kudos as they come from other people. That's just a little friendly advice for you. Like I said, I don't want you coming into my stream every day if you're just going to tell us you're right all the time. I don't care if you're right or not. You can be right and we'll recognize it, but it's really off-putting and egotistical to push this over and over again, and especially not to let it go. I had this with Mike. I said, Mike, what is it about? Is it about you or is it about the Raptors? Is it about like covering the Raptors or talking about the Raptors? Or is it about you? That's what we have to figure out as Raptors content makers. Cut your ego out, Van Hoot. Cover the Raptors. Don't give a shit if you're right or not. People will recognize if you're right or not, and you'll get the praise for it. But when you go and look for it, you sound just as bad as LeBron when he's going around telling everybody he's the greatest. You don't decide that. The other people decide it, and they recognize it themselves. And that's all I'm trying to say on this. I don't know exactly what you said, and maybe it was wrong for me to say you were right 1 out of 10 times. I don't know what you've been saying. I don't care, and I'm not keeping stats on this. I will watch your content. I watch a lot of it, but some of it I just can't watch it because some of it is, like I said, just conjecture and weird stuff too. But there's some of your stuff that's really, really good too. So it's not all bad, is what I'm saying. There's some stuff that's not that good, and then there's some stuff that's really good. Let's just put it that way. And I do want to be supportive and cool, but I'm also looking at what you contribute to my content because you're here and I'm taking time to talk to you. And in some ways, it's not about you, bro. And it's not about your ego. So check it, please. Tom's saying, Van Hoot, you came in after the cutoff time and fired away. Oh, see, Tom's calling you out now. In Space Cadet, say, Jerry. All right, Van Hoot saying, I've shown you specifically nothing but respect, and you know that. Tom, don't do that either. And we did talk about it on this channel. That is what I was referring to. McDaniels is the biannual. Yeah, I agree with that. Listen, once again, I'm not here to fight with you or anything like that. And in some ways, this is my channel. I'm not going to go on your channel and fuck with you there. Seriously, if you asked me to be on your show, I would do it. But you haven't asked me that. That's another thing that I'm wondering about right there. These other people have all tried to collaborate with me. Greg, Mike, Brian, and that's fine. And we can collaborate here, and I have no problem with that. But also remember, this is my time, and I make the content here. And if I'm not liking what you're doing in the comments, I'll tell you about it. I do that with everybody. I did with Mike many times. You can ask him. And I've been pretty fair with him to an extent. And he hasn't had a problem with it. So this is a little bit what's happened here with you is some of the stuff that I did with Mike, like maybe a year ago right now. Tom Duke saying still in the back and forth is not how it's done here. I said this is not said by anyone here by Lex. Tom, I'm going to give you permission that if you see too much of a back and forth between two people like that, you can go ahead and erase their messages for me before I even get to them. Especially if I call it out and say, I'm not reading your messages anymore, you go ahead and you proofread them and just take them off right away. Cause I don't want to waste time on this kind of shit. I'm already at almost 4 hours. I don't mind. I got time today, but in some ways I don't want to waste time doing shit like this and extending my time just because Logical and Van Hoot want to argue. I'm with Mike on this side just because Kenyon's coming from his ego and it's not necessary right now. Seriously, we don't care if you're right or not, Kenyon. We want to hear your opinions and let's talk about them, but you don't need to come in for the victory lap and say, I was right. Woo, woo. This is a fucking time of mourning. Nobody should be jubilant or celebrating like fuckhead with his stream over on his channel. So, that's what, listen, in some ways we should be wearing black and mourning that our Fred's gone. And instead you're like wanting to get kudos for being right about that horrible thing happening. Yeah, fuck you for that, Kenyon. I'll say that right now. Fuck you for celebrating a victory lap or being right about Fred. Why are you happy about that? If you're a real Raptor fan, you should be upset about this and feeling it like we are. And that's part of it too. It's like I'm very edgy and angry right now. And in some ways, I am very dangerous because I am edgy and angry. And, listen, this is how it is. Mike's, it's part of my fault. I'm sorry, Lex. W stream, no hard feelings. We don't know. You're cool, Mike. Don't worry. I know you were just engaging and it's fine. You have a proclivity to do that. And I know you don't do it on purpose. It's fine, Mike. You followed my instruction in the past when you did this more often and you haven't done this much. So I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt on this one, Mike. You've been fantastic. Tom's saying no hard feelings at all. It's just basketball. And we're only fans, nothing more. That's right. That's right. We want to keep things together, Kenyon. I seriously would collaborate with you if you asked me, but you've never asked me to be on Basketball Rewind. And you've been coming here for about 6 months. Let's see. Tom saying whatever that is in that, Van Hoot, I wish I did it an hour ago. Smooth saying Banton signed. Yeah, we know Banton signed. It is what it is. Cool Cat saying, so 3 Raptors on Boston Celtics, Brissett, Banton, and Champagny. 2 Canadian Raptors, too. It's really gross, man. All right, Van Hoot saying, I stand up for Pascal because knowing this market and fan base, y'all will crucify the darker skinned man who is a foreigner and who doesn't operate how people want. Get mad at me for it, but it's true. I completely agree with you, my Kenyon. I completely agree with this. See, we're a lot more alike than different. Trust me, I realize that. And in some ways, I don't want you to feel like I'm picking on you, but there's certain things about what I've been trying to say to you that we're trying to do on this channel that's just not necessary to do. But yeah, I totally agree with what you're saying here. And that's why we need to be smart with our content and fight the good fight. In fact, I'd love for you, Kenyon, to make a piece about this phenomenon with Pascal and about racism and talk really open about it and make people understand what this is all about and why this is so awful and messed up. Like, you could do some really important work, Van Hoot, by using how you feel about this. And I feel like you, from your standpoint as a black man, that you could really put some stuff out there and really like be like really maybe help people understand things about this. So I'm with you on this. Great comment right here. And I completely agree with this. I'm not mad at you for that. You're just speaking the truth right there. And in some ways, we need to shine a light on the ugliness of the people and shame them so they don't act that way anymore. Space Cadet saying, I don't think color of skin has anything to do with it. Well, it does actually, Space Cadet. I'm going to agree with this. Siakam has a darker skin pigmentation than most black people. And this has very much been studied by sociologists. The skin, the pigmentation and how dark it is. There's actually racism in the black community against very dark skinned black people from light skinned black people. This all matters on the scale. And in some ways, some of our players having darker black skin, makes them more of a target. And in some ways, Siakam being from Africa, that's another whole layer of why this racist hate comes a certain way at him. And Van Hoot is exactly right. Evelyn's saying, got your message, David. Okay, cool. You guys, all right, cool. We're going to get this linked up between the two of y'all. Seriously, we're going to get this linked up. David, I know you're not on Facebook, but you should accept my friend request and join our Facebook chat because we could give you this kind of private information without everybody seeing it very easily there. I've got a friend request for you on Facebook. You have not accepted. And if you join it, I'll add you to the Raptor Freak chat with Evelyn, Sue, Monique, everybody here that's on there talking all the time. In fact, anybody else who wants to be in that Facebook group chat, you just got to find me on Facebook and we'll add you to it. Cool Cat saying it means Boston offered Dalano more money. Bummer. Masai wanted to develop Banton more. I'm not worried about Banton leaving. Whatever. Let him go. It's fine. It's not like he's a needle pusher and too much of a way either way. It's not like he's going to make the Celtics that much greater. If he has success and he gets opened up a bit more over there, so be it. But in some ways, I'm not as upset about this because he is really an end of the bench player still. And his factor in things is not that important, honestly. I'm kind of happy that he's reunited with Justin. In some ways, I think that's a very good thing. Shirkan saying, laugh out loud, dunk for Lex. Skipping kids arguing in the chat, streamlining the Lexathon. Thank you. Well, let's not clarify these guys as kids. They're men, and they are old enough to be mature and act in a mature way. So, big ups for King. July 15th is going to be awesome. Day off for moi today. Got to touch some grass. Hit the like. Thank you, Shirkan. Lexi, I can show you all the messages. All right, it's fine, Van Hoot. Listen, I don't know what you're trying to prove at this point. I like you, bro. I do. I really like your content. I like who you are. I want to work with you. It's just that, I don't care about your messages with you and Brian. And in fact, I don't even really kind of want to do too much of the dirty laundry with this. I just go by Brian because I've known Brian for years. I've known Brian for years. And he's somebody that I've had good interactions with for years. And that's, I can only go by knowing him better than you and what he said. And that's all I can go by. So Mike's saying, I got the same lesson from Lex. Not gonna lie, it's been better for me. There you go. Mike's saying, it's like, listen, I need an ego check sometimes too. Like, seriously, if I'm too egotistical on this channel, sometimes I know I talk about myself a lot on here, but I try and balance it with it makes sense as an antidote for what we're talking about. Like, it makes sense to talk about this aspect of my personal life, but otherwise I have to really balance like being too much in my ego on this channel. And if I am too much in my ego, I want y'all to tell me, it's like, Lex, you're being a little too egotistical right now. And maybe check it a little bit. Cause I would love that. If Tom Duke told me, Lex, chill, you're being too much in your ego, I would listen to Tom Duke. if he told me that. Yeah. Yeah, Tom, you get that green light every time. You're an associate producer. I trust your judgment in a lot of ways. You've been here since the beginning. You understand how I like to run things, and you can very much help me in this way. You've done such a good job in everything you volunteered to do to help with this channel already. So I appreciate it. Yeah, and don't abuse it. I know you won't. I know you won't. You won't. All right, go Raptors and all you guys. And Van Hoot's saying, you forgot I asked for your info a long time ago in a chat a while ago, and you never told me your email or info. I'm more than willing to chat about it, Lex. Feel free to list it and I'll get in touch. Awesome. See, if anything, this kind of misunderstanding between you and I, Kenyon, will possibly lead to us very much collaborating and maybe becoming better friends. It's just partly as I have a work relationship from before with Brian and talking to him and being on his show from before. And I would like to establish that with you. So we definitely try and do this. I will, I put my email out all the time. If you reached out to me and I didn't reach back, it may be that time I was very busy, and it wasn't that I was trying to ignore you. It's just that I just didn't realize that you had reached out to me for that reason. So here, I'm going to put it in there again. It's basically my name at yahoo.com. All right. So if you want to reach out to me, you can do that. All right. And I'll be there, and I'll listen. I'll do it. I have a lot more free time this month than last month, and I can appear on other people's stuff right now. So I'd love to do it. Seriously, you figure it out. You let me know, and I'll do it. Seriously. Isaac Stan, I heard there will be Tom Duke and Milky holograms at Raptors Afternoon. Raptors Afternoon, Saturday, July the 15th, 3 p.m. Real Sports Bar and Grill. There's going to be some stuff going on there that are going to be surprises. I already understand in the works. So you won't want to miss it. If you are in the greater Toronto area and you like the RAPTORSFREAK channel and you want to come meet some of us, that's the time to do it. There will be swag. Trust me. There's going to be stuff there for people. I'm going to have old classic basketball cards to give to a bunch of people. Kenyon, come down yourself, man. I'll put you on blast. Even if Brian's there, maybe we sit down, the three of us, and we figure this all out between King, Kenyon, and I. And I'd love for you to come down there and promote your channel with everybody there too. So please come to the meet and greet if you can, Kenyon. July the 15th, 3 p.m., Real Sports Bar and Grill. Seymour saying Miles Bridges makes Charlotte okay this season. No walk in the park, and Pacers got a lot better. Well, it'll be interesting to see Charlotte. It's not going to instantly just happen for them. They got a lot of other problems too. They don't have a very good coach, and there's different issues with the Hornets for sure. Pacers are going to be interesting. They've done a real retool. They really have. Mike saying trading Siakam is completely dumb at this point. He's ready to show out this year as the leader of things. I think Siakam's really showing out. I hope so too. Trevor J, you're on there. Trevor J, platform artist. I'll find you on Facebook. And Tom Duke has got that. All right. We're going to finish this up before 4 hours for sure. All right. Let me just finish up the Instagram stuff. Grady has signed his rookie scale contract, as Monique is reporting. He's getting $4.5 million a year, or $4.5 million in his first year. That's awesome. This is really weird. Monique's posting this about the CBA. They're saying in the new CBA that any player who's under a uniform player contract, with the exception of the 10 days and the two-way contracts, shall receive a free League Pass subscription to NBA League Pass. Now, I like that they're giving free League Passes to the players. They should, because it's their job and they need to watch stuff to learn what's going on around the league. But in some ways, they're penalizing the people that don't have any money. The two ways, and those people, they should get the League Pass also. Seriously, you're hurting the people that are the most poor in the NBA. The guys that make the least amount of money, they don't get NBA League Pass. What the mess is that? Give it to everybody. I'm sorry, NBA. Stop being stingy. These guys are literally the product that you sell. So they should be able to get the product for free if they are the product themselves. And penalizing the two ways like that, that's not nice. No, don't do that. Marquise Noel should not have to pay for NBA League Pass when he's going to be part of the show, is what I'm saying right now. So, yeah, that's interesting little part of the CBA, that they're making the two ways pay for League Pass. Hilarious. Monique is saying that she's passing on Dame Lillard. She's not interested in that deal. And then she's reposting the Fred stuff. Now, this is the thing. Fred has posted Slim Duck posting his farewell speech. So there is love from other guys on the team towards Fred. That narrative that some people tried to push recently, that nobody cared about Fred leaving, is wrong. Chris is putting on blast Dylan Brooks being in Houston because he loves him. He's putting Fred on blast because he loves him. And that's the end all be all of it. Now, Precious is on the street wearing some crazy fashion still in Paris. This dude is off the chain with his looks these days. Holy crap. Thad Young, and it's very much just saying, I got the money, and that's it. It's Christian Coloco celebrating Fred also on his Instagram. So there's your Raptors Instagram check. All right, y'all, please check your WNBA Fantasy League teams. We don't have any games today, but we will tomorrow. So get your setup start because this is a new matchup week and you're starting fresh, 0-0. So get some points and try and win your matchups. There's some really good teams in our WNBA team league. MK, Peter, David. Oh my gosh, very good. All right, Van Hoot said, email sent. I have time today. Doesn't have to be a long chat. Let's set aside 10 minutes. All right, Van Hoot, I'm all about that. I'll at least talk with you, if not appear on content with you. But yeah, let's just touch base. I want to really circle the wagons and get on the right page because honestly, I really do think you're a fantastic Raptors content maker. And I feel like we should be like a family and supportive of each other in all kinds of different ways. And I don't want you to take any negativity you may have felt from me today as something that is like, I don't like you. It is very much the opposite. I like you. And that's why I'm like this. You can ask Mike. In some ways, you know, he mentors me and I mentor him, and we help each other in a lot of different ways. And I want you to be in that fold, in that group with us also, because I really do feel like you're like us. You're a bird of a feather just like us. And you have the power to make good, positive Raptors content just like we do and help in the fight for Project Truth. So I will definitely do that. And on that note, thanks for watching me, guys. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share. Thanks for being with me for the Lexathon today. 4 hours of Raptor Freak. Tomorrow, Tuesday trivia. You don't know who the player is, but we will have trivia tomorrow, 9:30 a.m. All right, guys. Mike's saying, I did shout you out, Van Hoot, even though it went through a debate. It's all good, guys. You guys are friends too. I know that. There's no hard feelings. And we all want the same thing. We want to cheer on our team because we love the Raptors. And that's what matters the most. All right, y'all. Let's go Raptors content.